The college football experience, week 14, 2024 preview and picks episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with a brand new Pick 8. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick, plus first time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football action. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is loaded up with a ton of picks for the British Open. Yes, claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
Hey, everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Week 14, final week. Hopefully you've been following us, and thanks for the heads up for these guys here, real sharpshooters here. Thanks, for all 14 weeks we've been dominating. We drafted 15 weeks really, because week 0 counts as a week. YouTube.com/the college experience. Buckle up, because we got the final week, rivalry week. They used to call this thing rivalry week, only that when I look, it's not that many rivals left.
Aftermath of college football expansion and realignment, et cetera.
All these
maybe not as good as it once was, but this is still a fire slate here. Okay, I'm excited to talk about this. Don't bring me down.
He always was a Ted Turner supporter. That's a TV exec, right?
Okay.
It's the only one I could really name. I was like, what other TV exec could I name? YouTube.com/the college experience, folks. We're breaking it all down.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it. That Ted Turner, of all people, is the only one that became a famous TV exec.
Well, Ted Turner also.
He was the owner too. Like, I don't know, like executive isn't like the owner. Ted Turner was a weird dude, but in some ways he was kind of cool.
Wasn't he married to the mayor of Santa Monica at one point? I think he was.
You know a lot more about Ted Turner than I do.
Well, her name was Jane Fonda.
Oh, okay.
She's pretty famous.
Okay.
It's not like I did a deep dive on Ted Turner here, but anyway, folks, we're here. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, which I know you are right now. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Folks, I love college football. I love it. If you can't fucking tell, previewing all 134 teams. Hopefully you've checked out those previews. But I mean, we got news coming. News these days, you get news July. Like remember back in the day, college football would just be dark.
Yeah.
For a few months, you would just get no news.
A void.
Yeah.
Now every summer is like.
That's what I'm saying.
24/7 news cycle.
Yes. You can blame the Twitters. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go. We got news. This is the final week of the season.
Rivalry week, Thanksgiving weekend.
Even though they took away a lot of good ones from us, they put one back, thank God. They put one back that should be. All right.
I think they probably put a few back. They just haven't put them in the right place.
Yeah, they didn't put them at the right place. They switched the samples. All right. We are also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. Come play college football DFS with us. We load up. We also got some best ball drafts that will be happening at Underdog Fantasy. So buckle up. We're just getting started on the college football experience. But give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, a free lock giving, farmer, earned the basketball league MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's up, guys?
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. And don't think you're gonna slide that bullshit hat. You're gonna slide past without that bullshit hat he's wearing.
Weehawks just mad because the next game Western Carolina plays, it's against the Wolfpack.
Oh, Catamounts are alive. It's not like the Pussy Pack have lost big games before.
And he thought I am a Duke fan, but you know what? There's one saying in North Carolina. It's called ABC. Anybody but Carolina. So I do root for State too.
Well, I thought ABC was that store you guys have because you filthy fucking Carolinians.
That's also where you have to buy your liquor.
You can't even get liquor at the grocery store. What the hell's going on over there?
We're Virginians by birth, and we
that's
grew up
horrible
with that
too.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff. When is that changing? When is that changing?
I don't know.
Have they gotten weed in Virginia yet?
Yes.
They legalized finally.
And
not in North Carolina though.
So let me get this straight.
Gambling, yes, in Carolina, not weed yet.
Let me get this straight. I can take $10 million and bet it on, Duke Wake Forest basketball, but I can't get a Jack Daniels in the goddamn grocery store.
True story.
Right?
I can't buy a joint.
The hell's going on?
I don't know. But one thing real quick, if you're keeping score at home from all of our weeks, the person with the highest percentage of good games played is myself. I'm in the lead. Patty C is in second, and Colby's pulling up the rear. He needs a strong week 14 here.
Do we have data backing this? Nick,
he's
not at all.
Yeah, you'll fit right in the college football playoff committee. Are you running for the college football playoff committee?
That's right.
Hey, if Condoleezza Rice can be on that committee, so can I.
It's true.
Amen.
It's true. Very true. Actually, you're way more qualified.
That's
way more qualified. Now, there was news this week. Last week we were dark because I was at Mountain West Media Day. I'm bummed out, man. My guy, I get the Mountain West Media Day. One of the first. I set up shop on Wednesday. Interview the players Thursday morning. Nothing started yet. I'm grabbing a coffee, and damn if Jeff Tedford doesn't say what's up to me, right? And I'm like, hey, right? And I'm like, hey, we start telling a story about Mike Leach, a couple of Mike Leach stories, telling some jokes. And I said, do you mind stopping by our booth in a little bit? And he's like, sure. Comes by the booth, talks about how excited he thinks his team has got a real shot to make the 12-team playoff. Talks about how they're much better than a year ago, and the injury bug caught him late in the year.
You guys got to have an incredible poker face, or unless he just
I don't think he knew.
Completely caught by surprise.
I don't think he knew. I think these are test results because he was really optimistic on the season and going to Michigan and stuff. What I'm guessing that was on Thursday. Between Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, because Tuesday the news he retires from football. Because this has been a reoccurring problem. It's not like Jeff
He's
Tedford.
only 62 also, which obviously people in their 60s can have health issues. But it's not like there's older coaches by 10 plus years that are still going strong. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
But we were just talking about Mike Leach. He was 61 and died from a heart problem. Yeah. Right. So it's a bummer for me because I love Jeff Tedford. I think he's a heck of a nice guy. Maybe it was those
conversations you were having with him about Leach on last Thursday that
he was like, ugh. That guy, I Pick Dundee's got a good point.
Pick Dundee's making this idiot named Pick. He goes home to his wife and kids. This idiot Pick Dundee comes up to me, starts talking. I'm just trying to have a coffee. And next thing you know, he's shoving Mike Leach stories in my face. And I got to thinking, what the hell am I doing this for? Right. And then later I'm at the circa. I go downstairs and I see that same Pick Dundee bastard 10 vodka sodas deep, right? And he's wondering, well, what am I doing with my life? All right, like I got to appreciate my family. Look at this idiot.
This guy's living it up over here. Now all the Fresno fans hate you. You ruined their golden season.
We're going to talk more about that in a second, though, man. I'm bummed out, and a salute to the great Jeff Tedford. I think one of the most underrated coaches in the history of college football, at least while I'm alive. Want to tell you that the College Football Experience is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and you should check out the Sports Gambling Podcast because they're getting you ready for college football as well with their conference previews that I'm featured on as well. Tune in wherever you get your podcast or the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. All right, yeah, Jeff Tedford. You know, you look back at what he did at Oregon, and Troy Calhoun brought this up at Media Day, and he was like, "No one's had a bigger impact on the West Coast than Jeff Tedford." He said, "Look at Oregon. Before Oregon ever got Jeff Tedford, they were not that good."
When you're talking about the length of the West Coast, top to bottom, probably right. He probably impacted more programs significantly than any other coach has.
Well, then he goes to Cal. They're 1-10 the year before he gets there. He takes them to 7-5 the first year, wins 10 games 2 years later, right?
Yeah, they're probably their best year in recent history, certainly.
Multiple double-digit win seasons there, and then Fresno the year before he was there, 1-win season. He shows up 10-win season. Right.
Oops. Yeah.
And then when you look at, he was an offensive analyst for the Washington 2016 team. 1 year he was at Washington. They go to the fucking playoffs.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at Kalen DeBoer, who's now at Alabama.
The guy had 45 years playing and coaching in basically California. I mean, there was a couple years in Canada, coaching and playing, but for the most part, a good chunk of 45 years coaching in that state or that side of the country. So his impact was definitely enormous.
Yeah. And so now the other question here is, like, I came into this, I'm in the middle of going through this exercise, and I would be curious if you guys want to do this, but it does definitely, you might lose. Patty C will probably fall asleep from too many Jaeger bombs, but I'm in the middle of going through projecting every game, right, of the whole entire college football season, the FBS.
That's a big task.
Yeah, it's not that we pretty much do it here.
Yeah, we do it.
Yeah. But I was making the case that I think in my mind that Fresno is going to win the Mountain West prior to this news. I thought it'd be Boise or Wyoming taking on Fresno.
Yep.
Fresno, the loss to Michigan wouldn't hurt that much because Michigan's Michigan. And then they would beat UCLA for the 6th straight time at the end of the season, which would help them. And then I thought they had a legit chance to make that 12-team playoff. Like, they were the favorite to me. I mean, I was like, man, if they go 10-2 or 11-1, I would put them in over Liberty. And now it's got you thinking, damn, what could have been? Well, and look, he did highlight that. He said, I've had issues, if you listen to my interview with him, he definitely talks about the coaching continuity, because he's missed. This is the third time. This it's not like people were shocked by this news.
Yeah.
Right.
So in the bowl game last season, he had, I think it was Tim Skipper, coached that game. So he did think they'll be fine if something did happen, but still.
And he also said that he likes to delegate and he doesn't micromanage his coordinators. So hopefully that means that these guys can still hit the ground running and continue in what could be a very promising season.
So
I don't know anything about Tim Skipper, if I'm being honest, but if he does tend to delegate like that, then they're probably.
But you didn't know anything about Kalen DeBoer either.
It's true.
Frankly, Tim Skipper sounds made up.
But what do you think?
Baseball manager?
Nick, does it affect your we were projecting them out? If you're projecting the Mountain West,
I had them in Boise neck and neck. Now I would put Boise over them.
Right.
Yeah. I had
it
them.
has to have some kind of impact. Unfortunately, a negative one. Could Fresno still do it? Sure, they could because they were right there and they have the personnel. But when you lose one of the best coaches in college football, whether he's recognized on a national level like that or not, he is. So that has to have a negative impact.
Now, was he the head coach when he stepped down the first time at Fresno?
Yeah.
And what was the impact on the record during the interim?
Because DeBoer came in,
but he didn't have an amazing season, DeBoer, or did he?
He did.
He did?
And then he had the COVID year. They had COVID restrictions. California was insane. So I think he went 4-4, but the next year he won 10 games.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't even, I don't even think you can really look at that as
I don't think you can take that for anything.
Anyway, also the video game came out, and this was a topic that I gotta give some credit to my pals that were at Mountain West Media Day talking with us about how excited they were for the video game. And look, I get it. I don't play video games that much anymore, but I'm excited for it. And people were saying, isn't it crazy that college football, we had a conversation at lunch, and we're saying, this year we're finally getting the playoff, a larger playoff that we should have had for a fucking 100 years, where a group of 5 has a bid. And guess what? So we think fandom's going to go way up then, but also we never even had the video game for the past 11 years. And, it got me thinking, because a question at this table I was at was saying, did that help impact your fandom of college football? It certainly did, right?
Absolutely. That was a contributing factor, just like Madden was and Tecmo were for the NFL. And every other video game they used to make a ton of video games back then. But college football, another thing is, it never had, like NFL had NFLPA. College football never even had the players associated with it. So now this is a bigger impact than it's ever been a video game could ever have on college football.
Well, and I think the game was always cooler than the NFL because you could recruit by like states. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a lot of things that made college football cooler in the video game too.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah. Would you say the same though, NC Nick? Like,
for sure.
I mean,
huge when did the first NCAA football come out? Was it was mid 90s?
Bill Walsh. It was Bill Walsh who had it for a couple years.
92, 93,
yeah,
94,
I think it was
somewhere
92, right?
Yeah,
92.
Yeah, but those ones there was like recruiting or anything at that point.
No, but those were still fire games at the time, man. I
remember playing that from basically like 95 to 2005 or so. And I mean, we have a classic story. I'm kicking Colby's ass like 49-0. He's so pissed off. He gets up, he throws his chair at me, but I duck. And one of the legs of the chair goes right into the drywall. But our dad was not happy.
Buddy, you see Bobby Knight right here? All right. He's an influencer. All right. He's an influencer.
I don't know
we had a blast playing that video game.
That is great.
That game was key though. It was vital in I think, and I never really thought of it like that. Like
we had another buddy that there's like practice mode where you can like practice plays. He would just practice like his quarterback throwing the option. For like 30 minutes. You're like, what are you doing?
Practice makes perfect, man. Don't be a hater. And when you
gotta fine tune that
gotta get that
man.
timing down.
Let's go.
It's all about timing.
Well, that's the other thing about this is like maybe for high school players, they're all playing Madden, and I'm sure a lot of them are learning the playbook and learning the game of football through Madden. This now offers like the step that's a little bit closer to what they're actually going to be playing when they take the next step from high school.
And you learn about rivalries. You learn about some of the history of college football at a younger age that you maybe weren't getting before. Sign me up. Let's go. I need to get myself one of those Xbox machines. You know what I mean? Let's go. Folks, look, before we get to our draft, I want to tell you the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. As Underdog Fantasy just launched their college football best ball product, first place wins $20,000. What are you doing? Plus, the higher lower pick 8 allows you an opportunity to win 325 times your entry, and you can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN and claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football action. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. I was just at Mountain West Media Day, staying at the Circa, fantastic establishment, if I may say so. Circa Sports is back, and Circa Survivor and Circa Millions is giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Derek Stevens, he's not gonna have any rake. Those contests have no rake. Circa Millions, pick 5 NFL teams ATS each week and compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL Gauntlet to claim $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. Use their proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked yet for Las Vegas before football season? May I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend? It's a great time to go out and kick it. If so, you can hang with Stacking the Money Green and Ryan Real Money Kramer of the Sports Gambling Podcast and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world between August 22nd and August 24th. All right, we are back. I did want to touch on this, and I don't know how far we want to go down this hole. I know NC Nick's already going to be bothered by this, but Brett McMurphy released a story saying that the Big Ten and SEC have zero interest in adding Clemson and Florida State. I believe it was just those two. Maybe he threw Miami in there. I don't remember.
I think it was just those two.
Yeah, I think it was just those two.
But I think you can go ahead and lump Miami in the same boat.
Yeah. There was also,
I guess, although to me this reeks of smokescreen.
Well, very well could. Don't trust anything is that said for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, also Ross Dellinger was reporting that Brett Yormark had conversations with both. There's speculation. People are saying could that private capital come in and lure Clemson and Florida State to the Big 12?
If the Saudi money can,
yes.
Why can't whatever money the Big 12's got coming?
Either way, everything. I had a conversation about West Media with a couple people. It just seemed like everyone's talking about the demise of the ACC here, and how real do you think this is going to be? And do you really believe the Big 12 could get Florida State and Clemson? I mean, Yormark, I will say this: we thought the Big 12 would be the conference that would disappear.
Yeah.
And it was the Pac-12. Yormark won there.
Pretty unbelievably too.
Yeah, because everybody had the Big 12 as the conference that was going down.
Yeah. I mean, their flagships were leaving.
Yeah.
And Pac-12 has a much longer history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a much longer history than almost every other conference out there. But I mean, how shocked would you be if Clemson and Florida State are in the Big 12?
I'd be a little surprised, but at this point, nothing would shock me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't think USC and UCLA would be in the Big Ten either.
Yeah.
I guess my feelings on this are there's a lot of angles. To Patty's point, just because this report came out, that doesn't mean anything. But also, I'm not necessarily surprised either, because I mean, the amount of money a conference can make is not infinite. And the more times you divide that piece of the pie, it has to make sense to add somebody. And the SEC's never added, 4 teams at a time. They've been kind of slowly, methodically adding teams. So I'm not surprised if they're not interested in Florida State and Clemson. They already have teams in those states.
Well, that's the thing. As SEC one kind of makes sense for them not to be interested. The Big 10 one is interesting because they're not in those states. But
they just added 4 teams, so
all over the nation too. So this will put more travel. Yeah,
right. Still. They're like, can we get a couple years with this and then maybe see? So I'm not surprised that they're not interested right now.
I think that's bullcrap. You're talking about 2 of the bigger brands in recent history in college football. Florida State's been arguably the biggest brand in college football over the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
To your point, it might be a total smokescreen. Very possible. Who knows? Now, the Big 12, obviously the Big 12 is interested. I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, the Big 12's problem right now in football is they have no national brands. Florida State and Clemson are a national brand. So it would be a total slam dunk if they could get those 2 teams.
What do you think the likelihood that they go to the Big 12?
I don't know. I mean, they're not the only ones that can get private equity or private capital, Yeah.
Look at Florida State.
Yeah. I don't know what I guess the question is the bridge already burned for Florida State and the ACC? Are they going to leave no matter what, just because the total relationship is completely burned?
It seems like that. I don't know about Clemson.
Clemson might not be quite there.
Florida State seems like it's
right.
Like that thing is.
So
ship has sailed.
So they might go to an equal or maybe a slightly.
They might be an independent for all we know.
Yeah. So Florida State on their own, they could go out and get private capital. So do they necessarily need a conference to do that? Yeah, they have been.
Yeah.
So
Saudi Arabia State. Yeah.
Who knows, man? It's possible. Everything's possible.
Let me ask you this though: hasn't Florida State always been the asshole in the ACC since they joined? Is that a new dynamic that they're taking on by being a bigger asshole now?
Yeah,
I feel
they've
like
definitely been a louder asshole.
The ACC, they've been a louder asshole lately. But from the minute they walked in, they were a fucking loudmouth hotshot program, and that was very contrary to what the ACC had been back then. So now, instead of the ACC going from this, genteel kind of academic conference, that has this outsider football program. It's pretty much the same thing, except they just have more beef with that team.
Yeah. Well, that would be the interesting thing, though, is if those chairs leave, what happens to the whole fucking conference then?
Well, then it's done because the Big Ten apparently both of them are interested.
Both are interested in Virginia and North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and once that happens, it's over.
Anyway, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, you got a week ago, you thought both might be interested in Florida State Clemson. So you don't necessarily know that they're interested in adding UNC and UVA. Is that who you said?
Yeah, but at least those are two markets that they don't have, is our point.
True.
One of them would be. The Big Ten would certainly
academically it would fit in the Big Ten, and it would be different states for the SEC.
Well, I believe also Greg Sankey is on record that they would be intrigued by North Carolina because of they don't have a footprint there. I think he said that before.
I would be shocked.
Yeah,
if they're not interested in North Carolina.
All right, let's get to this draft. But before we do that, I want to tell you, the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, the British Open is this week, Patty C. I know you can't wait for that. And if you're not checking out the AI picks and props from Rhythm, you're missing out. Not just outright winners. They got picks for top 5, top 10, top 20. Use their AI caddy to get some of the great data insight. You can even customize your own golf betting model using Rhythm's tools. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back. Patty C, do you have the spreadsheet up for the draft?
I do.
Who had the third pick last week or 2 weeks ago?
Oh, let me check. Last week, top pick was Alabama, Oklahoma. Who was that?
I think I took that. I think so.
Yes.
Okay, and then I took USC, UCLA.
So I'm first this week. Good,
right.
Good. All right, because I had enough of your guys' games. All right.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Let's pull up this draft slot here. Let's go. There we go. And there's a better way to do this. There we go. Shout out to Robert Martin in the chat. Hell of a good guy. Yeah, let's fire away. Look, I know everyone's gonna say the game of the year is the game with Ryan Day, Ohio State, Michigan, which I love. I do love that game.
They'd have a strong argument to say that.
Not when this happens. Not when you don't have how many years has this been now? 13,
2010,
14.
Yeah, 13.
That's
14.
crazy. It's been that many years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Sad.
Texas, to me, this is the most interesting game of the entire college football season. Texas at Texas A&M, and if you listen to my Texas or Texas A&M preview, I think Texas is going to be 9-2 coming into that game, and I think Texas A&M is going to be either 8-3, 9-2, or 10-1 coming into that game. I think the winner of this game is going to the college football playoff. And
Woo!
I think that puts this rivalry, the fact that it hasn't been played in 12, 13, 14 years is huge.
Is the loser out?
Yes, I do. I mean, maybe if A&M is 10-1, which is possible, then maybe they're still in.
Yeah, that Notre Dame game at the beginning is huge.
Yeah.
What, Texas doesn't have the same possibility? You crazy?
Well, I have them. Their schedule's much harder than A&M's to me, so I actually think Texas will have some losses.
Yeah.
So I think this is the playoff starts right here. All right, and it starts with one of the most heated fucking rivalries. I'm so glad this. Look, I didn't want to see Texas and Oklahoma leave the Big 12, but damn it, if this is the reward, it's okay. I told you, I'm more mad at the Big Ten.
Well, it's not okay to substitute one moment here for 14 years of missed moments, but this is a nice silver lining. I'll say that. You do get this freaking amazing, hatred moment coming here.
Yes. So Texas A&M, they've been playing this thing. They've been playing this thing since 1894. This is the 119th meeting, and they, like I said, it should be at 134th meeting or some shit. But I can't wait for this game. Someone asked me this question like a month ago. What's the game you're most excited about? Texas A&M by far. the whole season. This is the best game all year. Can't wait for it. Patty, see your thoughts.
Amazing. I do believe the last time they played, wasn't that Texas winning on a walk-off field goal?
Yes, 27-25.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then so they were, saying goodbye out the door, taunting little brother, and then stealing their baseball coach after a World Series.
Just add a little bit more
run.
to it.
Yeah, or runner-up run.
And this rivalry has gotten I know Texas dominates it, but if you look over the past 6 matchups, it's 3-3. Prior to that, Mac Brown had a pretty dominating performance, basically winning 7 of 9. But then before that, A&M won 10 of 11. So
wow.
the pendulum swings back and forth in this thing. I'm so glad to have this back. And then you add the 12-team playoff stakes. Sark in a big game, College Station. This place is going to be bonkers. NC Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind the play because I think the fact that they hadn't played in so long and that it's back, that makes sense. Like if you rewind 15 years ago, or if you fast forward 5 years and we're doing the same thing, I would probably choose Michigan, Ohio State over this game. But the fact that we haven't had this in over a decade propels it to the number 1 spot. So I like the play. You'll find no arguments here. It is a fantastic game, and that place is going to be crazy.
Yeah, and by the way, they still failed this week. This is the reward we got.
Could have been better, but it's still a good week. Don't be too negative.
I want to talk about some of the shit here. BYU Utah's back on the schedule. Love the Holy War, but it should be this week. BYU's taking on Houston. What the fuck is that? Right?
Just botching it.
Yes. Colorado, Nebraska is happening week 2. Stop it. It should be the final week of the season. Same with the backyard brawl. Right? That's happening week 3. And also week 3, we're getting the Civil War and the Apple Cup. Those should be the final weeks of the season. Bedlam is no longer. We had to sacrifice Bedlam to get Texas A&M and Texas, which sucks. But that's another one that we've lost.
No, who does Colorado have on the final week here?
Colorado's playing Oklahoma State.
Okay, so even still, there should have been, if the new rivalry was going to be Colorado Utah, because they joined the Pac-12 together, you're not even maintaining that. You're not even maintaining what was the new rivalry.
I don't even like that one either, though.
But if you're going to do one, make it if you're going to try and make a new rivalry, and you
the Pac-12 was trying to do that, not the Big 12.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that actually.
But still, it's a failure across the board in college football here because, like I said, BYU Utah is on the schedule, Colorado Nebraska is on the schedule, West Virginia Pitt's on the schedule. The Civil War and Apple Cup are still on the schedules. Stanford Cal's on the schedule, but they're not this week. They should all be this week. Stanford Cal is the biggest failure because Cal is playing fucking SMU, right?
Yeah.
Stanford's playing San Jose State. What are you guys doing here?
At least they gave us Miami at Syracuse, okay?
Old Big East. But I'm disappointed in that. Even and another one to me, I'd be intrigued by is UCF and USF. I miss that,
dude.
Yeah,
every team should be asked to rank their top rivalries, and if it's possible, if the other team on the schedule agrees, or then yes, that should be the season-ending game. And then if not, then it should be the next team down on your pecking order. Maybe once in a while a team has to go to its 3rd or 4th most hated team. But usually you should be able to play. You shouldn't be playing a random game on the final week of the season.
And it's like Weehawks saying Kansas, Missouri should be this week, but they're different conferences. You should figure that out. We have something. So the NFL, there's a something written in a law that the NFL can't play on Fridays and Saturdays, right? JFK
up until the first week
until
of
December 5th or something, right? That law was great. That law helped, I think, organize the sport of football. High school Friday, college Saturday, NFL Sunday.
Yeah,
they should have something. We should have something where you should play someone that is your longest fucking opponent or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
and just because you're not in the same conference doesn't mean you can't work it out. Look at what the SEC and ACC is: Florida, Florida State, Louisville, Kentucky. Georgia, Georgia Tech. There's ways to do it.
Yes.
Joe Biden, if you want the polls to swing back in your favor, make rivalry week great again. Come on.
You might be onto something, Patty C.
Rivalry week. Yeah. NC Nick, you're on the clock.
All right. I think Patty's up at number 2. Right?
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, Patty. You're on the clock. My bad.
Well, I think your page here does get it right. Of course, we're talking about the game, Michigan at Ohio State. Both of these teams figure to come in with, a stellar record, presumably for Ohio State, given that schedule. They do have to go on the road to Oregon, but other than that, I think that's probably the only loss most of us see on that schedule. I guess Penn State on the road could conceivably be a loss, but I don't see them losing both of those. Ohio State has certainly got big stakes here, whether it be a trip to the Big Ten championship game, a bye in the playoff, which obviously would be a result of that. Or maybe if things go absolutely wrong, Ohio State is not going to miss the playoff, but the schedule's not hard enough that if things went completely wrong, say the quarterback situation really didn't work out here, that if they did have a loss at Oregon and at Penn State, then Michigan could come in and be the team that kicks them out of the playoff. Again, Ohio State with a 12-team playoff, I think they looked it up. I read it today. It was like they'd made it
they'd be in
19 out of the last 21 years. Ohio
the fickle
State.
Year, no. Right?
The funny thing about this year is that all the pressure is on Ohio State. Now that Harbaugh's gone, Michigan has a few wins in a row. All the pressure is on the Buckeyes and Ryan Day because now they're expected to win this. They need to win this. You could almost argue if he wants to keep his job, he needs to win this.
Dude, I was a guest on the Ohio State of Mind podcast. Shout out to Josh Keatley in that podcast. And they wanted a neutral. They're like, you cover it from a neutral standpoint. And I go, I don't know if it was neutral. ECU is the best team in the nation, but they asked me my opinion on the Ohio State this year. We went game by game, and they're of the opinion that if Ohio State loses to Michigan and doesn't win the national championship, Ryan Day is fired.
Ooh,
and
man,
even
that
this
is high standard.
Even this, I said, what if he beats Michigan but loses in the first round of the playoffs? They said fired.
Ooh.
He's got to do one of the two.
Fired. That's what they said. So I mean, you basically got to win the national championship.
I mean,
and beat Michigan.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
I think if they win the national championship, they'll excuse him.
Yes.
From a 4th straight Michigan loss.
True. But still, that's not a good look. They're not happy with that.
Yeah. And what do you guys think, though? I mean, I'm taking Ohio State this year, but I need to see Will Howard because, like, when I think of, first off, Will Howard's been injured in a shit ton of games at Kansas State. Did you guys catch Big 12 Media Day? Did you see what Chris Kleiman said?
No.
It's like we wish Will the best, but he wasn't going to be our starting quarterback.
Yeah, no, I
basically saying like, yeah, we told him, hey, if you can find something else because Avery Johnson's our guy.
No, there was another name in the mix that I forgot in Ohio State. I know Devin Brown.
Cam Ward was one that they were, and Dylan Gabriel
currently on their roster.
Oh, Kyle McCord.
No, I mean that is currently in the mix in the preseason
right now.
Yeah,
Julian Sayin, the transfer from Alabama.
That's what it was. He could emerge, but Devin Brown didn't show anything special last year. And if Will Howard wasn't going to be the starter at K-State, then yes, it is possible that their quarterback isn't a great spot for them right now. That's a big factor.
The quarterback might not be a great spot for Michigan either. And I think Ohio State has kind of followed Michigan's blueprint, and they're becoming a tougher, more physical team. I mean, their roster is loaded. Their coaching staff is loaded. And they're at home. I think the Buckeyes are going to win.
I think so.
I think most of the nation thinks the same way you do.
I'm not going out on a limb by saying that.
Alex Orji is a better athlete than I'm drawing a blank. JJ McCarthy. Do I think? I mean, from an arm standpoint, is McCarthy a lot further along? Yes, but there could be a new wrinkle in that offense. And look, if guy at Alabama, Milroe. Yeah, I'm only half a beer in, and my brain's already dead.
Well, you need a couple more beers. That'll be percolating.
CTE here.
Yeah, Milroe. Look, he didn't have a great throwing. I mean, if he has similar kind of production to Milroe, then that's a team that Michigan with what else they have around them.
Well, Michigan's defense is going to be fucking nasty.
Michigan might not necessarily fall off the map after a 15-0 season here.
Yeah, I mean, look, this game is always like when you think about this day in general. Now, I wish they would have done Texas A&M on Thanksgiving like they used to.
Yeah,
because I think that would be perfect.
Or maybe even on Friday.
Even on Friday too, because you're basically sandwiching in. And they've moved the Egg Bowl to Saturday too, so it's like you're moving a bunch of really good games into like a 12-hour time slot. I disagree with their motives
approach
there. Yeah. But anyway, NC Nick, you're on the clock.
Well, we got to keep on moving down your graphic and go Iron Bowl, even though it's better in odd years when it's played at Jordan-Hare. But still, Auburn, Alabama. I mean, that is college football. And Alabama at life after Nick Saban. Maybe they're not quite as strong. I expect this game to be very good. Auburn should have won last year. The Tide pulled that out of their ass. So they're going to want revenge. And Alabama could be in the position where they can't afford a loss if they want to make the college football playoff. So
it's easy
Iron
to
Bowl,
see a tide turn.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Man, dude, the last 2 times at Auburn, it's amazing. Bama's won 4 in a row because you had the 99-yard drive by Bryce Young, where they won 24-22 in overtime, right?
They have just ripped Auburn's heart out.
And then that 4th and 26 or whatever, 4th and 31, whatever it was. Absolutely unbelievable. But I'll tell you this could be another one. And this is what I love about this, and I guess this one has always been this way. Well, not really, actually. Not really, because we saw Auburn beat Bama and Bama still got in. What year was that? 14 or 15? Remember that, where Auburn beat Bama and they still got, and so Bama didn't go to the SEC championship, but they still got in the 14
No, that
playoff.
was wasn't that 28? No, I'm drawing a blank. Was that 2018?
I think the year that UCF went, won undefeated, right? Yeah. But this one, obviously, your stakes. You look at this new SEC with Texas and Oklahoma involved. This could be one where Hugh Strip Club Freeze could be in the spot to kick Alabama out of the playoff.
That's huge. And guys, we don't have a whole lot of times yet, but we know Michigan, Ohio State's at noon. I feel like this game is always at 3:30 Eastern time. Is that right?
Yeah, which means what are they doing? Are they putting Texas A&M at night?
That's what awesome. I hope. That would be awesome.
Oh my God!
College Station would be insane. I mean, that has to be the night game, right? I mean, what a day. Look, I know you guys brought up great points about the games that could have been, but if you can watch those 3 games just in a row, I mean, that's fantastic.
No, you're right. But my thing that I was saying was like, normally they would give us Texas A&M and the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving, which is fantastic.
Right.
And then Friday you'd have the Backyard Brawl and Colorado, Nebraska. And you're kind of you're scattered. 3 days of just awesome college football rivalries has really turned into one day.
Agreed. Yep.
Let me ask you this regarding that Texas A&M game and that rivalry in general. The end of that 10-win and 11 year stretch for A&M was 1994. After that, Texas has kind of owned the rivalry. So that's mid 90s. Do you have a good recollection mentally of
those games?
The time that A&M dominated.
That they dominated.
What was dominant over Texas?
No, but I remember both like A&M the year with Albert Connell when they beat K-State in the Big 12 championship and won that.
Yeah, I remember them being a better team than Texas.
I remember
RC Slocum years.
Yeah, and I remember Ricky Williams having an unbelievable run against A&M in the rivalry game there on Thanksgiving morning. The year that really, I would say, what year was Ricky Williams? Like 2000, 99, something like that?
Well, let me put it this way. Texas
I think it was in the 90s. I think it was 99, 98 or 99 when Ditka made that trade to trade up for him.
Texas has been ranked higher than Texas A&M coming into this game and for every game since 1998, which looks like it's about 12 or 15 games. Yeah. So it would be interesting now that Texas A&M has closed this gap. I think the rivalry has always been Texas A&M being a little brother for most of the people that have been watching football that aren't like 50 or older. But now Texas A&M is like right there with Texas. So I think this rivalry is about
not only right there with Texas. Texas is following A&M
into the
and
SEC.
That changes shit.
Yeah,
that changes shit right there. All right, it jumps back to.
I think tide turning. As I remember, I was raised in the desert, but tides kind of turn. It's easy to see a tide turn. Did I say those words?
Look, I know there's a game that's probably more nationally relevant, but I'm going to make the case that this one might be a blowout. But as far as true fucking hate, I actually think they might. Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama get the credit. And I think I've said this on previous episodes. I want to put the hate on this level for two other rivalries. Pitt, West Virginia, and this right here. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and maybe the Holy War. I know that Ole Miss might blow them out by 30 this year. I don't care. I want to watch this game because Mississippi State might be able to kick out Ole Miss from the playoffs. And they hate each other. And also Jeff Lebby used to coach at Ole Miss. They run similar shit to what they run now. You're going to see the best version of Mississippi State because that's, basically year 2. So I'm going with the Egg Bowl. I know Notre Dame USC is more nationally relevant, but Egg Bowl to me is all.
It's a shame they took it off of Thanksgiving.
I know, or put
at
it
least
on
it's
Friday.
on Friday. No, it is on Friday.
Oh, it is on Friday, right? Yeah. Okay.
Right. And that's my point was why I like to play is that it's not on Saturday because Saturday, trying to fit it in between the 3 games we just mentioned would be tough. You have it at 3:30 Eastern time Friday. Perfect time. You got your little Thanksgiving hangover. You're still eating your turkey sandwiches. You put on the Egg Bowl. I like it.
Let me ask you this: is there more hate here than good old fashioned hate in the Georgia Tech game?
Oh yes.
You think there is?
Oh yes.
Certainly, probably.
I think people don't. It's never, because Thanksgiving you get, you had Texas and Texas A&M for so long. Also the NFL. I don't think people realize the hatred level in this rivalry. It to me is one of the ugliest.
And go ahead, Patty.
Go ahead, Nick.
And also look at what their competition is in that time slate on Friday. There's 4 games. There's that game, Liberty Sam Houston, Texas State, South Alabama, and Stanford San Jose State.
Oh yeah.
Every college football fan is going to be watching the Egg Bowl.
And I mean, how hilarious have these games been? You have the Mike Leach's final game in 2022. He gets it done. That's not hilarious, but I'm saying the pissing incident.
Oh yeah.
The guy pisses a celebration flag. They miss the extra point. All the coaches get fired because of that. These games have been fucking hilarious, man.
Both of these teams sucked for a long time, and so I'd have to go back and look to see what the all-time series is. I imagine
Ole Miss has a 19-game lead.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's not that far. Assuming they've been playing this for over 100 years here, not at the level of dominance I would have expected at Ole Miss.
122 years.
122 years.
23 years.
So what is the series then? Sorry.
We have Ole Miss 65, Mississippi State 46. There were 6 ties.
That's pretty respectable. Yeah. About 60-40 in Ole Miss's favor. I will say this: is there a more pronounced version of rich yuppie, state flagship versus agricultural, grimy school?
Yeah.
Virginia Tech is a little bit of that.
Yeah,
but the cowbells thing is probably even a little more country for Mississippi State, and Ole Miss is just, I don't know, they might be the most preppy school in the nation. I like it. It is a culture clash, and it makes for fun football.
Yeah, NC Nick.
Oh, I already met. Come on, I've spoke at length at it. Next one.
All right. Patty C jumps back to you.
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, there's not a whole lot of suspense so far because we are just going straight down Colby's list. Not a lot of disagreement here. I probably would have put this one higher just because I think that both teams could be nationally relevant. Although I will say one more thing about that Mississippi State Ole Miss. You kind of mentioned it already with Lebby, but talk about a lot of offense that's going to be generated. Your offensive loving common fan will be entertained by Mississippi State Ole Miss. What do you think the final score of that game will be? Both in the 40s.
It depends on Mississippi
Both
State.
in the 40s.
Yeah.
At Ole Miss, you got high hopes for Mississippi State.
All I know is Jeff Lebby cranks out offenses that 40 points is light work. You know, I don't know about year one, but it's hey, Mississippi State has been like a top 30 recruiting team for a long time. I feel like.
Here's the thing, though, man. In comparing this to Notre Dame USC, Notre Dame USC is way more nationally relevant, but I don't believe they hate each other.
Well, you know what? I don't believe they hate each other as much, but I think they're about to start. And this is one rivalry that really benefits. I understand where you say, okay, Michigan, Ohio State has been a rivalry where it is an elimination playoff type of game. And so even although you could argue that a rematch kind of makes the rivalry better, you know, I can also see where you could argue that, okay, the rivalry, the rivalry game itself isn't quite as good. However, Notre Dame and USC at one time was like that. Hasn't been like that for a long time, where they're both in the playoff conversation on the last game of the season. I don't think it's been like that in
a long
40, 50 years. So now both of these teams are going to be in that playoff conversation, and one of these teams is probably going to get kicked out because of this game. It is in Los Angeles, so Notre Dame has to be careful here. I think it's a fun one. I think this rivalry is about to heat up,
and maybe they'll meet up in the playoffs. Maybe we will get a rematch, because remember, if you watch the movie Die Hard, it was Christmas Eve and the security guard was watching Notre Dame USC, which still my brain hurts on trying to understand that. Notre Dame.
Well, it's local. That was in Southern California, right?
But Christmas Eve, December 24th, they're playing. That's bowl territory.
Well, he was watching that. How many times do you watch old games, Colby? He was watching a replay.
No. But he goes, I got $50 on this game. You can't be watching a replay if your line is.
Maybe he's hammered. He doesn't know what he's watching.
He's a security guard, right?
How many people caught that though? Is the question. Colby sees college football. He's like,
no. Die Hard is a premonition for our future, right? This is what I'm saying. We got it going.
Ironic that the name is Die Hard, but obviously not Die Hard college football fans to miss that little detail.
Oh man, yeah, I think it's correctly played here. Now I will say this: you have had some blowouts in this one. Out of the past, really since 2010, there's only been 3 games that were decided by a score or less. So there has been some true ass whoopings, but I think it's correctly played. NC Nick, Notre Dame, USC, your thoughts?
Yeah, I like it here. I think it is correctly played. I mean, Notre Dame's schedule is pretty hilarious this year. There's only 3 true road games. At some point in late September, there's at Purdue. Other than that, the other road games bookend their season. So they start with at A&M, they finish at USC. Both of those games are fantastic. One other thing that could potentially hurt this. I mean, what if Notre Dame's 10-1 going into it? What if they can afford a loss?
I mean, it's almost likely.
But you would lose seeding though. You're playing an away game.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm
sure Notre Dame would love to have a home
game.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, very true. So I think it's a great game, and it could be very meaningful for both teams.
Let me ask you this: do we expect any? Is there any other juice? Like Marcus Freeman has done pretty. Is he undefeated so far against USC?
No, 1-1.
1-1. Yeah. Okay, so all right, that rivalry's off to a.
And I will say we don't have a time for this game yet, but since it's on or in California, this might be prime time. Also, it might be competing with Texas A&M.
Well, I mean, luckily I have more than one TV, but
most people
Texas
do.
A&M would be winning that battle all day. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's correctly played. Let's jump along. Next up.
I'm up, right?
Oh yeah.
Now is where it starts to, I think be a little more questionable.
Yeah,
about
I completely agree because the top 5 are set. Now you have good rivalries, but every team might not be good this year. Or do you go with a game where both teams will probably be good, but it's not necessarily a rivalry? That's the question. I'm actually going to do the latter. I'm going to go Oklahoma at LSU, another Saturday game. How much fun is this game? Come on, Sooners, Tigers in Death Valley. Let's go.
Yeah,
I like it.
This is one. Obviously, both teams could be sitting there at 8-3, and the winner is going to get in. The loser is going to get out. It could be, that could be a scenario there. They've only played 3 times all time, but LSU does lead the series by 1.
Talk about offense also, Patty C. Could be a lot in this game if LSU's defense is anything like they were last year.
Oklahoma hasn't beaten LSU since 1950. So that 35-0 Sugar Bowl, they got to get that.
When was the last time they played? I feel like
the playoffs. They got housed by Joe Burrow. 63-20 something. But yeah, that was in 19. Dude, this game now. Do you guys prefer this over Bedlam?
They should have more matchups all time. I would think Oklahoma and LSU.
Yeah.
For as good as they've been over the last 20 years, they've both been staples in the New Year's Six. It's pretty
I think Oklahoma should be matched up against Arkansas. I'm sorry, Oklahoma against Oklahoma State, LSU, Arkansas here. But,
yes, I do agree. I don't think as fun as this game is, I don't think you could take this over Bedlam. No.
Agreed. But who do you got winning this one, buddy?
Probably more competitive though, because Oklahoma State is like 80 to what, like fucking 20 or something.
True, but Boone Pickens, ever since that money came in there, I feel like it's gotten a lot better.
They've been more competitive. They still have.
To answer your question, I think LSU at home is going to win.
Any chance?
Probably solidify their place in the college football playoff.
Yeah, that's true.
Very well could.
I don't think it's gonna be a blowout though. I think this is a game.
I do too.
Especially if LSU has that added pressure.
Yeah.
LSU has at A&M and Alabama in the second half of the season. If they're not at Alabama, they're hosting Alabama. If they can get through those, they could probably, like you said, have 2 losses. But yeah, big game. I think Oklahoma's schedule is a little too tough to get there this year, but if they somehow surprise us, then this could be for a shot.
You hearing this, buddy?
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Before he was saying they're going into the SEC. Yeah. They're dominating this thing.
Got dealt a shit hand. Let's be.
I mean,
you could see that hand 2 months ago. Also,
yeah, we were talking exactly about the schedule release. It's not like we were just out of thin air.
I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this again. I think maybe you guys scared me off. Ole Miss, Oklahoma's been a better program than Ole Miss. Everyone's buying Ole Miss as this sure shot at the fucking playoff. Aside from that, at Auburn in the first half of the season, Oklahoma hosting Tennessee. Those are games that Oklahoma probably wins most of them, all 3 of those. And
but I think the argument would be this: Oklahoma plays Texas every year at a neutral site in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Oklahoma and Texas are more talented than every team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So at home, they're never playing teams of equal talent.
Yeah, that's true.
Now you're playing a bunch more teams of
at
equal
Auburn,
talent.
at Missouri, at LSU.
Oklahoma's road games are crazy in conference. They're playing 3 of the 4 are potential playoff teams, and the other is at Auburn.
Look, I don't care.
How many games are those 4 road games? How many does Oklahoma win?
At least 2.
No more than 2.
Probably not, but the schedule's hard.
And then they also have to beat Tennessee, Alabama at home, and Texas neutral site.
Yeah, and Houston and Tulane in the non-conference are not gimmies either. Yeah, but okay. All that to say, Oklahoma could certainly play spoiler here for LSU.
Sure.
Look, if Oklahoma has, I don't want to say maybe they're better. Maybe they're ahead of schedule. They could still be in the mix here. I just don't think it will be. But I wouldn't shock me if Oklahoma only has 2 losses coming into this game.
This will be great. I think the SEC probably didn't do them any favors on purpose by giving them this schedule. But if Oklahoma walks in and dominates the SEC, that's a great look for the Big 12.
There we go.
Let's go Oklahoma. We should all be Oklahoma fans here.
I don't know. Those guys that just left. You know what I mean? They left. Oklahoma chose to leave Bedlam.
For 1 year, we should be an Oklahoma fan.
All right. Now it does jump back to and Oklahoma after visiting Baton Rouge. They're gonna be saying,
I'm dying in this fucking country ass fucked up town. Shit flying in my mouth. The fuck, I can't see pollen. Let's get the fuck out this country, mother.
I don't know how nice Norman is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, basically Oklahoma City. All right, next up.
I don't know how nice Oklahoma City is.
Not much better.
Let me tell you, they got a Mickey Mantle Steakhouse. That's enough for me. All right. I mean, I think I'd prefer Baton Rouge actually. Now that I think about it, but yeah, it goes to me. Now it's really dicey. Do you go with the historic rivalries? One of the teams I think is ass though, like NC Nick said. Or do I go with one that might have gigantic implications on the 12-team playoff? It's tough decisions. Or one that's been a heater the past 2 years, the past 3 matchups. Yeah, I'm gonna go Big 12 Dundee showing up. Utah at UCF, Oklahoma State at Colorado, Kansas State at Iowa State. You might not have the historic rivalry aspect, but goddamn, any of those ones.
You can only pick one, Colby.
I know, but I'm saying any of these ones could decide the whole damn conference. I'm going to take a shot on it being Utah at UCF. And I think it's a super dangerous game. I think the Utes might be flying high. And look, maybe the Utah has the Big 12 already locked up. But they might get, I mean, I guess if you have the Big 12 locked up, you still have the bye week if you win the Big 12 championship. But I just think it's a very dangerous game for Utah here in the bounce house. And I think UCF, they might be playing a week later in the Big 12 championship. Could you imagine getting this matchup again a week later in what is it, Arlington at that filthy Jerry's World? But Utah and UCF never played each other, as far as I know. Your thoughts, Patty?
Well, we do know what happened to Utah the last time they went into the state of Florida. Now, granted, that was what? Last week of August, first week of September. So probably a little hotter.
Won that fucking game. They dominated.
Should have won that game, but did not. Found a way to lose, and so maybe down the stretch the Miami Heat played a factor in that, or wherever it was, Gainesville Heat. So look, Orlando's pretty hot even in December, November. It could be a tough game for them.
NC Nick, you disagree with my play?
No, I like this game a lot actually, because Utah's my favorite. I think they're the best team in the Big 12, but I'm also high on UCF to have a much better season than a year ago. And I think the very Golden Knights are actually going to win this game at home and surprise Utah. What that does with the Big 12 standings or the playoff scenario, who knows? But yeah, it could certainly have major implications. This is also a Friday night game, prime time. I like this matchup. I think it's a lot of fun, actually. Some of these new matchups I don't care about, but this one, for whatever reason, I find it very intriguing.
There you go.
This is an excellent Friday night game.
Yeah.
Look, UCF. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Who is the hardest game in conference on this slate going up into this? I mean,
well, there's a reason why I liked him. And KJ Jefferson in Gus Malzahn's offense reminds you of Cam Newton, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's identical physically to Cam Newton. I don't know if he has the speed, but close. At TCU, that's winnable for UCF. Hosting Colorado, hosting Cincinnati. A road trip to Iowa State's going to be tough. Hosting BYU, hosting Arizona. At Arizona's not state's not that bad.
Look, there's a reason why I took the future on them.
I think there's going to be so much carnage in the Big 12 that it's possible that a 2-loss team makes the Big 12 championship game.
Dude, I think a 3-loss team is going to make the Big 12 championship.
What, three conference losses? I guess it is possible.
Yeah, I don't know.
But either way, even if you might be right about that. But if it's 2 coming into this week, that's a tough road environment and UCF could almost likely be playing for a spot in the Big 12 championship in this game.
Love it. And all right, Patty C, it jumps to you.
Looking at the big board here. Oh, I see one nickel like. I'll leave that one for him because doesn't intrigue me quite as much, but I see it. I'm gonna go straight down the list here. Even though Florida has had obviously struggles and we anticipate a tough year, maybe Billy Napier has things a little ahead of schedule from where we think they are. Florida State certainly looking like the class of the ACC again. Maybe a bye at stake. Maybe I guess it wouldn't be it could be for a playoffs, but it wouldn't have any impact on the conference races. But still, this at one time was the best rivalry in the college football in the mid-90s. they were ships passing, I think, a little bit in Florida in the early 2000s or late 2000s, and then Florida State in the early 2010s. So they haven't had those top 10 matchups that we're used to, but I'd like to see it get back to that at some point. This used to be an amazing matchup.
Florida State. Florida State's won 9 of the last 13 against the Gators. Surprising?
That is a little bit surprising, yeah.
It's a good series. What's the all-time record on this one?
Florida has a 9-game lead still, but that's because early on, from 1958 all the way to 86, Florida State had only won 5 times. But since then, Florida State's been in catch-up mode.
Would you say Florida State has been the dominant program in the state over the last 40 years since the start of the 80s?
Sure.
I guess. I mean, Florida had a really good run, but I guess over that long period, Florida State has more better years than
they both have 3 national championships during that stretch.
What about Miami though?
Miami has like 5 national championships during that stretch.
Right?
So maybe it's Miami.
Still a great game, even though it's kind of down this year and it's not at Florida. Like I remember us talking about this game last year, and we were like, "Man, if Florida State could be having a special season, and the Gators could be their Super Bowl, they could beat them at home." Kind of almost happened. It was a close game, obviously with Jordan Travis hurt. So in Tallahassee, I don't know if Florida's going to be good enough to hang around, but they might be. And then again, it will be their Super Bowl. They could go out with a bang, knocking off Florida State. That
little
would
bit of a
huge.
TMZ play on my part. I'll admit it.
No, but I
don't mind it though. I mean, come on,
I don't mind it at this point.
Yeah,
but I will say there is one that we're guessing is going to be bad, but the past 3 have been fucking heat. That is out there.
All right.
In the past 2 years, they played 3 times in the past 2 years. All right, NC Nick, it jumps over to you.
I'm not going to pick that game. They have played 3 times in the last 3 years, and 2 of them were fire. But NC State did beat UNC 39-20 last year. A little personal flavor here, but also, I mean, look, they're only 10 miles apart. They've been playing since the 1800s. Over 100, easily over 100 games total. It's going to be a huge game in the ACC race also. I mean, NC State fans are getting a little crazy here, saying that, 10-2 or bust, pretty crazy, but this is a fun game I watch every year. And these 2 teams also hate each other a lot also. Maybe not as well known nationally as some of the others, but it's not like Wolfpack and Tar Heel fans have any love lost for each other.
And State's won 11 of the last 16.
Wow.
All right. They're still down like 29 games to Carolina, but 11 of the last 16 to NC State. That's why you're wearing that filthy fucking hat. But I agree with you, and this is one that I'm worried about. This is a rivalry that I'm worried about for the future. That's why I'm very happy with the state law. Did that go through? Do we know how I know that it was voted. It went through 1 ring. But I don't know.
I saw Wake Forest and ECU just scheduled a home and home in a couple of years. So maybe that's because of law, or maybe they just were scheduling that anyway.
NC State has a great schedule.
Little worried about those Demon Deeks?
No, not at all. Patty C says NC State has a great schedule. We agree.
No Virginia Tech. No Florida State.
Is Virginia Tech good?
No Miami. Well, they're projected to be one of the better teams.
No Florida State. No Miami.
All right. They do have Clemson on the road, but
I think that the trick is for them is that can they beat either Tennessee in week 2 or Clemson in week 4? If they can beat one of those 2 teams, they're going to be in pretty good shape to do some serious damage this year. If not, if they go 0-2 in those games, they're probably going to lose at least one more along the way. So they could have a decent year, but not as high as some Wolfpack fans.
And remember, they got Big Bird at quarterback now.
That's true.
Grayson McCall.
That's true. I mean, what I'm saying is, regardless of the Tennessee game, that Clemson is the only game that I would even probably have them as dogs on the entire schedule, right?
Yeah, but
the
it's still
Tennessee game too.
I mean that Tennessee, but if we leave that one out,
but NC State wins
the ACC, yeah. But they could get in if they even have that one loss to Clemson, right? Because Clemson has could easily lose 2 conference games and drop below them. If they drop that one and they just take care of business. I mean, this at UNC game is probably the second hardest ACC game on their entire schedule. So,
ooh, buddy, you're sleeping on a team or 2. You know they're losing in Berkeley.
At Cal, tough road trip. At Georgia Tech could be a little tricky also.
Just saying.
I get your point, though.
Yeah.
I get your point. NC State could make the playoffs. Same with Louisiana Tech.
The ACC auto bid will certainly help.
What will Colby do if both basketball teams make the Final Four, the baseball team goes to Omaha, and the football team goes to the college football playoff?
You know what? It might be a blessing in disguise because then Dave Dorn will be the next head coach of an SEC team. and then I'll count on NC State to fuck it up. They'll probably hire, Mario Cristobal or something after he gets fired. So yeah, it'll be okay. Well played. I think it's anywhere in the spot is where the game deserves to be played, right, Patty?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to play that one that's 3 times in 2 years being played, even though it's a good one. I think there could be a chance for another team. You look at the Pussy Pack. Let's talk about the Pussy Pack. What was their problem last year?
The problem last year, injuries. It took a while for the offense to get used to the new offensive coordinator and Robert Anai.
Well, they won 9 games. But it should have been 10. But they let Jeff Brom and Louisville steal that game.
Yeah.
Jeff Brom is a guy that can do that. I think I've talked about it on this very show. I think Louisville is a contender to win the ACC this year. I think even though the schedule's harder than last year, I still think the schedule breaks nice for them a little bit. There's a reason why I made that case that Miami, Florida State, and Clemson might be the 3 best rosters, but there's a shot that all 3 missed the ACC championship because of Syracuse's schedule, because of Virginia Tech's, because of NC State's. And I'll add Louisville to that list because I don't think Louisville's schedule's that fucking hard. They can lose the Notre Dame game. They can lose the Kentucky game, right? To make the ACC championship. But this is the Governor's Cup. Louisville should have beat Kentucky a year ago. I do think Louisville might be able to sneak in the playoffs if they go into Commonwealth Stadium, aka Kroger, and beat the Wildcats. It might be there for them. Or here's the question I ask you. If Louisville loses, let's say they lose to Notre Dame and Clemson, if they know they're in the ACC championship,
they're not resting players for this game,
right? No way, right?
No. I mean, you said it yourself. Brom.
Well, but home playoff seeding wouldn't matter there.
Well, but
the bye week's the bye week. Yeah.
They would still be, a potential at-large playoff team also.
True.
But with a loss, that's gone. So they're
in the state, within the state.
And look, I mean, Kentucky's won 5 in a row, so the Cardinal faithful
are not resting their starters for this
Big Blue. No, they're not.
They should have lost last year, man. If you watch that game, Louisville, in my opinion, was the better team. But here we go. Your thoughts on the Governor's Cup, Nick?
It's a fun game every year, even though it has been kind of one-sided lately. But you go, before that, from 2011 to 2015, Louisville had won 5 in a row. So yeah, this one's kind of like that other game you mentioned. Was it which one was it where it went through long stretches of one team winning?
Texas.
A&M.
Yeah,
Texas,
exactly. Yeah, but that's a good game. I mean, are either teams really in the mix? I guess Louisville has potential too. I don't think Kentucky does, but it's still a fun game every year. Probably would be better if it was on Friday, though.
True, I will agree there.
15 to 20 all time, according to Wikipedia. Is that correct? It's not as played as often as you would think. 1994 is when it started up. Louisville didn't win a game in this series till 95. So look, Louisville is a little bit of Johnny come lately, but sure have made up a lot of ground. I think they have the lead since they started playing annually in 1994 by 1 game. So this is a great current rivalry. These two teams programs are very evenly matched.
Yeah.
Flip a coin.
You're right, though. That is the numbers I'm seeing. But yeah, anyway, Patty C, it jumps back to you.
Gonna examine this. I think, I made a little video, a little, what do they call that? TikTok, if you will, lately regarding a team that I think is going to have a good year. And they do have a big game to end the year, but I'll hold off on that one a little bit.
How old did you sound right there?
It felt like shit afterwards.
What do they call it? TikTok?
I don't get on TikTok. Sorry.
Tic-tac?
Look, it took me forever to get on Twitter. So,
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
We're gonna go with. Look, this game was phenomenal last year. If nothing else, Oregon wants revenge, right?
This is what I was talking about. 3 times. So Washington's won 3 straight, but all of them were
Fantastic
fucking awesome games.
Though,
Yeah. Oregon, presumably in a very good position, almost considered one of the biggest shoe-ins to make the playoff at this point. But Washington would love to, give them a hard time, whether that be costing them a shot into the Big Ten championship, potentially a conference or bye in the playoffs. Obviously, would be at stake there too. Do we think Washington is going to be competitive? Probably not. But look, they were dogs in both of the games last year. Granted, they had Kalen DeBoer as the coach, but Jed Fish did a pretty damn good job. Look, this is a rivalry. Throw out the record books.
Yeah. Look, this is a fun one. I am terrified this could be a blowout, but it's still correctly played because of the history. They've been playing this for 123 fucking years.
This is what I mean by, okay, if you're not going to do the Apple Cup or the Civil War, at least give us the number 2 rivalry. It's a good game you still want to watch. You know, a good rivalry.
Fair.
I do think we have to mention, though, the problem with this year with the rivalry week is a lot of the dogs are away teams. Whether it be Auburn at Bama, whether it be Florida at Florida State or Mississippi State at Ole Miss or Washington at Oregon. A little bit better when the dog is at home, but it's still a fantastic rivalry that has been straight fire lately.
Yeah. Well played though. Well played. I think that's what I almost played it with my pick because I was like, but I just thought maybe it would be more of a blowout. But
how did Oregon do against Jed Fish last year? Did they play against Arizona?
I don't think they did last year. I think it was 2 years ago.
How they doing that one?
I don't know. But
I got
you'd have to do a deep dive on that one.
Get back to us, Patty C.
Yeah. Anyway, NC Nick, you're on the clock. Where are you going?
They kicked their ass by 4 touchdowns 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh. Back to Friday at high noon to the Big 12, Oklahoma State at Colorado. Again, it's the best game of 3 in this time window. Hey, I'll tell you, because I'm sure everybody wants to know about my day after Thanksgiving routine. Usually in the morning, wake up, go get the Christmas tree with the family, come home, put it in the stand. Now my duties for the day are done. I'm sitting on my ass. I'm watching college football, and at noon it is going to be Oklahoma State at Colorado.
You're
Again,
that
like
organized about your Christmas routine?
That's damn straight.
Yep. Don't get in the way of it.
That's called having a wife right there. She keeps these things in order.
Yeah, it's not really my plans, Patty C. I'm just along for the ride. Let's be honest.
You're just the muscle.
But
now
at noon, I'm watching college football. That's when I step in.
And this could be for a seat in the Big 12 championship. I know people laugh at that, but and I'm glad this game is back. They were playing this one, since what was it, 1920, and it was never like the full on rivalry game, but it's still, at least it's an old Big 8 matchup. It's funny. I was looking at the Winsipedia, the Big 12's winningest program now that everyone's gone.
What's that?
All time? Colorado.
Ooh, interesting.
Colorado's number 1. TCU's number 2, followed by Arizona State and Utah.
Wow.
Where's Oklahoma State?
They're in the middle of the pack because after Utah it goes West Virginia, then BYU, then Oklahoma State. Because remember, Oklahoma State, before they got Boone Pickens money, they weren't nearly as good.
And all-time winning is
500.
TCU pulled they racked up a bunch of wins like in the Mountain West and stuff too, though. So
True.
It's not really fair.
Yeah. So if you exclude those and just look at as Power 5 teams would be what, Colorado, Arizona State, then West Virginia and Oklahoma State. So I guess it would be top 4. Yeah.
No wonder why they need Florida State and Clemson.
They need to do. What about Boise State, man? I think Boise State fits
addition.
into the Big 12.
Absolutely.
But
you got a rivalry with BYU.
Yeah. Utah. They played too. They played too. Yeah. The Mormon rivalry.
I mean,
what do you make of Oklahoma State, Colorado, Patty C?
Technically a border battle. I'm in favor of that. I guess they share that.
I think there's something about Prime against Gundy that's fucking fantastic.
There's a lot of swagger. There's a lot of mojo in that game.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Gundy's comments. This is why it was tough because I was there. We didn't do the show last week.
I love
How
that
about
guy.
that? Look, I probably had it, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 4 beers, and drove thousands of times.
What I'm trying to say is I'm a serial drunk driver. Dude, I love that, man, because a normal coach would have stopped at the first comment and not mentioned
would have caught themselves, had some self-awareness.
But you got to love the dude because, look, he's just being honest. And, hey, if we're being honest, too, maybe some of us have been in the same, that same boat.
At least every Wednesday for the last 8 years or so for old Patty C. Hello.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Look, this rivalry, is this going to be the thing every year now? Is this going to be the new thing, you think? I personally, judging from me, I'm a Colorado fan. So I thought Kansas State was the team we had the most animosity for of the remaining Big 8 schools that were there.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick a second, I think it might have been Oklahoma State.
I will say from an outsider on the East Coast, I don't see this as a rivalry game. I mean, could it become one?
Yeah,
maybe.
It is a border battle. Patty C's winning me over there.
I'll tell you this too. Like in terms of having a similar kind of mojo, it's both kind of financially based at this point. I know that hasn't been Colorado's former identity. What would you say their identity was in the 90s? Just fast and hard hitting, like mean defense in the mountains. Now they're bling bling, and with Boone Pickens at Oklahoma State, whether or not I think they've still had like the mullet identity a little bit, but behind it is a lot of money. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a selling point there, but it's kind of interesting. Who's the bigger blinger? Not really. Welcome to the party, pal. Trying to find something
and by the way,
about that game.
Don't even call it a fucking border battle just because a tiny little bit of that panhandle touches a tiny little bit of southeastern Colorado. I had to go and look.
I think that counts. I
had to go and look because I don't remember them sharing a border.
They're touching tips.
It's like Delaware and Pennsylvania, right?
And if
they're
you're
sword
touching,
fighting,
you're touching.
they're touching
That is the rule. We all know it.
All right, folks. Look, before this next pick, if you're watching on YouTube, stay put. But if you're watching on, or if you're listening to this on the audio side, check out the B side where we talk about the rest of these picks. As I go have 2, 3, 4 beers. Subscribe to the College Football Experience. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter, Patty C831, NC Nick on Twitter at NC__NICK, and me on Twitter at the Colby D. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Stay tuned. If you're on YouTube, stay right there. This is the College Football Experience. Week 14 preview picks and draft episode. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. All right, we are back on the B side. Just drafted Colorado, Oklahoma State Friday, right after Black Friday. Let's go. Who drafted that? Was Nick? Nick drafted that one, or you?
Yeah, I did.
Is that you? Yeah.
You know what? I got it.
What's that?
They're both rich country because Deion has that cowboy hat that he's doing.
True.
Bling Country. That's that new rivalry.
Bling Country. That's what he's calling it. All right. Yes. Folks, if you go listen to the A side for the top games, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Texas, the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl, all that good stuff. Check it all out. Governor's Cup. That's on the A side of things. We also talked about Big 12 expansion, Jeff Tedford's retirement, and the video game dropping. So check out that. But now jumps back to me as in the draft, and I will take you to a game. Well, I want you to enjoy it this year because next year it's in Ireland. I can't tell you how much that bothers me. That the game is in Ireland.
Well, I don't get breaking the head cold, but they're counting down.
Kansas State's at Iowa State. I think this could have implications for the Big 12 championship.
That's in Ireland next year?
Week 1 in Ireland, dude. What the fuck is that? Week 0. Week 0 in Ireland. So stupid. You take one of the best rivalries. This was in the snow last year. This game was awesome. If you guys did not watch this game last year, this game was awesome last year. I love this game, and I don't like when they fuck with it. What the hell is this game doing in Ireland?
There are some farms in Ireland.
What the hell is this at week 0?
Lots of farms in Ireland.
This should be in cold weather. It should be in fucking cold weather. But I will take Kansas State at Iowa State. Patty C, your thoughts of Farmageddon?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like you've mentioned so many times before, these two figure to finish in the top half of the Big 12, which means they're contenders in this year, especially Kansas State, I think is preseason number 3, according to Vegas. A really tough road spot here at the end of the season in Farmageddon to go to Ames.
And Iowa State's won 4 of 6 against K-State. Before that,
wow,
Bill Snyder had rattled off
straight up or in Ames.
No, straight up. But prior to that, Bill Snyder had won 10 straight. But Matt Campbell changed everything there, and these games have been fun. Last season was 42-35 in a snowstorm. The year before that, K-State did win 10-9, but the year prior to that, 2 years prior to that, Iowa State won. NC Nick, I know you hate the Big 12, but your thoughts?
While I don't want this game to be in Ireland per se, you guys value this game much more than I do. I've never gone out of my way to catch this rivalry. It is Saturday. It's not on Friday, so it's going to be hard. Again, I'm not going to go out of my way to, it's a good game. Sure. Both are quality programs that could be towards the top of the conference. So I'm not going to knock the game. Me, myself, though, I find it a little boring.
Well, I can understand. I still have yet to while I respect Iowa State now, I still don't find them an interesting brand of football. They have had some good players. David Montgomery, good ass player.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. Who's the other running back they had that?
He's on the
recently.
Jets. He was on the Jets.
Yeah, no, not Ibrahim. Anyway, Kansas State though has been
Brees
a
Hall?
dynamic.
Yeah, Brees Hall. Yeah.
Kansas State has been a dynamic program for a long time. I find Kansas State entertaining no matter who they're playing. And so the fact that they're playing Iowa State here, yeah, it maybe takes a little bit away from it, but I think the fact that Iowa State has a propensity to, I mean, that's two weeks in a row I've used that word, to beat Kansas State.
It's not that impressive of a word.
You guys were really impressed last week.
Colby was.
I don't get
it just makes it a little bit interesting that Iowa State has had their number.
Here's my problem with Iowa State. I group Iowa State in kind of with like Wazoo and Oregon State. I would find it fun when the big schools would play at Iowa State, or even if they were playing at Oklahoma. Then I'd be watching and rooting for the upset. And while I guess Kansas State is now one of the big schools in the Big 12, I still don't feel like they're like a heavyweight, even though maybe I should. But Kansas State still feels like a decent team, but not it's not like it's Washington playing at Wazoo or Oregon playing at Oregon State or Oklahoma.
At what point does that change though? Because Kansas State's had they've had like 2 losing seasons in like 35 years.
Compare it to this. Let me ask you if it's a comparable rivalry at this point. And I would actually say probably not quite, but almost. Virginia Tech versus West Virginia, right? This is like Virginia Tech going to West Virginia.
Yeah.
Fair. Right. In the mid.
Right.
In the
so it doesn't get a whole lot of national appeal.
But you got to admit that's a fun time when Tech and W play. There's a lot of hate. They're throwing batteries at each other and shit.
Right. So perhaps I'm being a little TMZ-ish here, which I'll fully admit. But Virginia Tech, West Virginia doesn't get much love nationally. People aren't screaming like, "Oh, great rivalry! Got to tune into this game," So it's kind of the same thing for me with Kansas State, Iowa State.
Well, how about this? 16 9-win seasons or more since 1995 has Kansas State done. 16, and remember, some of those years were only 11-game seasons.
Maybe perhaps getting out of the shadow of Texas and Oklahoma will help.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help them become more of a national
always been
program.
a hater. He's always been a hater. I remember arguing in the basement when I was a kid after I threw that chair. I said, Bill Snyder is a fucking good man.
Well, I'll tell you what. You can't think the Dallas Cowboys have a fire uniform and not think Kansas State has a fire uniform, even though it's purple It looks pretty much exactly the same.
I don't like the Kansas State uniform because it looks like the Cowboys uniform.
Well, that's understandable. Okay.
Well, I don't.
Anyway, Patty C, you're on the clock, but hang on one second. I'm going to tell you folks out there that the college football experience is part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Make sure to check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. They're getting you ready for the college football season as well with their conference previews, which I'm featured on. So check those out. Tune in from wherever you get your podcast or the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. Patty C, what are we doing here?
Well, of course, we probably should have played this one a little earlier. We're talking about a fantastic standalone Thanksgiving game where the Memphis Tigers travel down to Tulane to play the Green Wave in
This is what replaced the Egg Bowl, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't hold it against this game, okay?
I won't, and I'll be honest. I'm with Patty C here. This is the game that we should take the. Remember the teams. The team should. This should be I want this tradition created. I think we got to lead the way. We got to go talk to Ryan Silverfish, and
I mean the Riverboat rivalry is a great nickname.
I think
they already have that with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, but it never caught. No one knows that.
They don't even have riverboats, right? Though, did they?
Cincinnati, the Ohio River, I guess. But they don't. No. This is the real riverboat.
Yeah, it's called the Mississippi River. Okay.
Yeah.
The Ohio River ain't got shit on the Mississippi. All right.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna power rank my rivers, whatever one is the Mississippi.
What's the perplexity of the Mississippi River? But
wasn't the word.
I know. What was the word he said?
Propensity.
There we go. This goes back to 1954, and I mean, this one really could have a major. This one actually has like a decent shot of being the birth of the CFP.
Right. Of course. I mean, look, I think right now with Tedford leaving, I think Fresno Boise has become my favorite for the college football playoff. But on a lot of short lists are these two teams. Memphis is a lot of people's favorite because some people think they're going to go into Florida State and get that win. And if they do that, that almost punches their ticket right off the bat. But obviously Tulane stands in their way. Tulane having been the conference champion the last 2 years. Gone is Willie Fritz. In comes John Summerall. Meanwhile, Memphis still has Silvercock. So I don't know. It's just two very evenly matched teams in a high stakes game, and the culture. It's a developing rivalry. Do we have the all-time series here?
Yes, I got it right here. Memphis has a 9-game lead.
Okay.
9-game lead, but they've been playing this one, like I said, since 1954. All right. NC Nick, your thoughts on Tulane Memphis? He gives this one love, but he won't give Farmageddon love. Huh?
I do give this one love.
It's a little closer to the coastline.
And because it is Thursday night by itself, and like while we're all starting to reach a little bit for the Power 4 opponents or the Power 4 games, we should show the G5 some love. So yeah, I like it. I'll be watching. I think it's a fun game, and these two teams have been very good of late, and they both could be pretty damn good this year too.
What's interesting is we'll get a look at New Orleans on Thanksgiving, which I don't think I've ever seen highlighted on Thanksgiving. It's almost like not part of America. It's just French and weird down there and like its own little thing, which is why New Orleans is so cool. Like you're almost going to like a foreign country. Are you trying
to say Ed Orgeron's not American?
He is among the more American humans alive, so I have to bite my tongue a little bit. But I don't know. That's another reason.
All the colors, abstract colors. Let's go. All right. I like that. That was well played. I'll give you some cred there. NC Nick, it jumps over to you. What are you doing?
Well, Patty C inspired me. He inspired me to go G5. But I love some Sunbelt football, and I think there's a decent chance App State could be having a pretty nice season, especially if they can pull off an upset or two. And there's some new rivalries like App State and Coastal, which I love. I'll be at that game. But there's an old school rivalry on their schedule, and they end it at Georgia Southern. And I don't know how good Georgia Southern's going to be, but they could really ruin some stuff if they could knock off App State at home. So here you have the underdog at home, unlike some of those other games I mentioned when the dog is on the road. So let me get a little Sun Belt action here. App State at Georgia Southern. Is it too soon?
No, this is deeper than hate rivalry. If you know this rivalry, it goes back to 1932, and they fucking hate each other. And they were both powerhouses. This would be the equivalent in a way, maybe a little bit different from a namesake, of like North Dakota State and South Dakota State being in the FBS, or and meeting up, and like these two were two FCS powers that now reside in the same conference in the
were
the
they
FBS.
national championship caliber at the same time?
Yeah, I think they were. If not, they played countless times in the playoffs. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that if they were both trading national championship seasons, but both did have national. They were both very good.
Southern,
programs.
I mean, yes, clearly.
Yeah.
Wow, App State got what?
They won the Natty in what 2007.
Did they get several in a row with Armani Edwards? I felt like they got like 2 or 3 in a row. And then
little known fact, guys, this is also a border battle.
Yes. No, wait. What?
It is.
Yeah.
How's that?
It's a border battle. Southwest
touches
tip. Oh yeah. Just like tips? Oklahoma touches Colorado. Okay, it does.
I did not know that, but okay. So look, App State won a national championship in 2005, 2006, and 2007. Patty C.
Yeah, it is.
Georgia Southern won national championships in 2000, 99, 90, 89, 86, and 85. Whew. There's heat to this. The deeper than hate rivalry. I like it. I love to have they have hate involved. That's always good.
You know, App State ascended the Power 5 transition. It seems like a little better. Georgia Southern hasn't quite achieved elite status, although they were pretty good there for a couple years, right? In the group of 5 or at the group.
They go bowling every year still. I feel like.
But how many times have they had 10 wins since joining the?
I think only once, maybe once or twice. Georgia, and that was with Jeff Monken, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm with NC Nick though. I do think if App State is about to make the playoffs, and there's a chance Clay Helton could be fired by now, but this is a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game. So yeah, they've won 10 games only once since joining the FBS, but they do have a 9-win season, an 8-win season.
When did they join?
2014. They have 2 9-win seasons actually.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, so they got a 10-win season, two 9-win seasons, an 8-win season, and then a bunch of 6 and 7.
They're the Nebraska of the Sun Belt. They abandoned the triple option because they wanted to get fancy.
I will say this: since abandoning the triple option, they've had 2 losing seasons.
But they did beat Nebraska at Nebraska.
That's true.
There you go.
The irony.
Let me tell you this: App State has almost certainly set themselves up for a letdown here because they made their Super Bowl a bye week before JMU the previous week. JMU stands to come in with a pretty darn good record, I would suspect. App State going to have to hold them off for a spot in the Sun Belt Championship game. I mean that honestly. If App State is able to do that at home, then maybe they shoot their load and Georgia Southern is ready to come in and bite them. In which case,
under Sean Clark, App State has gotten up for the big games, but it kind of, they lose some road games where they shouldn't lose. App State's a better team. They shouldn't lose this game, but that's been the case the last couple of years. So it's certainly possible Georgia Southern could steal this.
Yeah, I like the game played here. I did ask Ken Niamontololo at Media Days, can Paul Johnson come back to coach? And he says, no, he thinks he's done. Thinks he's done. But
let me tell you this. This is what's going to happen. Georgia Southern is going to beat App State, and that's going to put JMU into the Sun Belt Championship game. And we're gonna love Georgia Southern for that one.
All right, look, it jumps back to me, but before I do that, I want to tell you folks out here that the college football experience week 14 preview picks and draft episodes brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, who just launched their college football best ball product. Yes, first place wins $20,000 plus the higher lower pick 'em. Pick 8 allows you an opportunity to win 325 times your entry. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. I cannot wait to make a pick 8 with the CFL action this week. But look, I know it's the dog days of summer. I also do MLB. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Also, sign up And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, we will be doing a lot of best ball drafts. We will be involved with that. So come check it out. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions pick 5 NFL teams ATS each week and compete for the $6 million prize, or survive the NFL Gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Also, if you don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football season, may I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend? It's a great time to go out. You can hang with Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer of the Sports Gambling Podcast and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. All right, we are back talking games. It is my pick, and I will take you to
a lot of good games still out there.
Let's go to the likes of. I'm trying to get excited about one, but I think it's got to be played here.
What do you got?
South Carolina at Clemson. Palmetto Bowl.
I was close to playing that.
Yeah. I think you got to play it here. And South Carolina won the last time they played there, and I don't know if Shane Beamer will even coach this game, but it's just a great rivalry. It should be played because they do hate each other. So that's really the reason. I know they've only won like once in the past 10 years or something. But
can Beamer before the end of the season?
If he's horrible, I think they will. They want to get a leg up.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Gosh, but I feel like he's respected in that program. Kind of deeply respected. So I feel like they would give him the
fact that he's starting like a freshman quarterback too. Maybe there's a little bit of leeway this year.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. There's not much leeway in the SEC.
I'm about to say the SEC. You guys are giving. Yeah, you act like there's such high integrity in college football. Yeah, I'm sorry. I still think it's worth to be played there. I know that there's like last year was 16-7, but the last time they played in Clemson, South Carolina won 31-30. I know the games before that were ugly, but the rivalry's still fun. Patty, see your thoughts?
South Carolina, despite their best efforts, probably has the hardest schedule in the whole country. Their non-conferences: ODU, Akron, Wofford, but obviously Clemson being the fourth team. But
what point are you trying to make here?
Well, you're probably right that they're beat up after a long, hard season, and their morale is probably pretty low, but. I will say one thing that saves the season is beating Clemson, and whether they I doubt they go bowling, but we just did their preview. We had them at 5-7 at best, but beating Clemson would be an amazing end of the season, and Beamer has been able to do that.
I'm not sure you phrased that correctly because you made it seem like Akron and Wofford were hard.
No, well, I was saying that's their best efforts is. To schedule 3 complete ass non-conference.
Okay.
They have the hardest schedule in the nation. They play ODU, Wofford, and Akron.
But if you were to go through their conference, Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Now they do have Vandy, but and then Missouri. Like, good God.
Yeah. Florida's is harder, and I think UCLA's is harder.
Maybe.
But NC Nick, your thoughts on the Palmetto Bowl?
Like I was saying, I guess there's some. It's a little worrisome that you do have a true freshman quarterback playing at Clemson, But I guess by the end of the year, he's already got a bunch of SEC road games under his belt. So I think it belongs to be played here, but it does have blowout potential. Pretty solid game though.
All right,
just that one giant 10-minute fight that they had.
Yeah,
we'll always put this game on the radar.
Yeah. Patty C, it jumps back to you, buddy.
Couple second tier rivalries here. Don't have probably quite the stakes.
At pick 17 is probably about the time where we got to speed it up a tad too.
All right, let's go. I'm going Friday night, Camp Randall Stadium. Paul Bunyan's Zags on the line. Minnesota at Wisconsin. Most certainly, two bowl teams potentially. You think?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I think Wisconsin. Fringe bowl teams.
What is the all-time series? I imagine this one's probably pretty close.
Wisconsin has a 1-game lead.
And how many matchups?
133.
Wow.
Yeah. So look. This is the Paul Bunyan Zags, aka the slab of bacon. Don't forget, there was a slab of bacon rivalry for a while. That was offensive. And this rivalry game is sometimes known as the border battle. Patty C.
Boom.
Look at you. You're home.
My new favorite rivalry.
Did you say Friday night, Patty? Because I have it at noon.
Oh, maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you are.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, it's a noon kick. Never mind. Still beautiful.
Now Wisconsin, really, since Barry Alvarez came along, since '95, from '95 until 2023. So this year, when Minnesota's only won 5 times, but PJ Fleck has been responsible for 3 of them. So okay. Selling me there. NC Nick, your opinion on the rivalry here.
Look, Big Ten West football is a great noon kick because you can take a nap in the second and third quarter, watch a fourth quarter, see how it ends, and get a little rest also. So sounds good.
No, it's Friday. It's Friday at noon.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Friday at noon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say Friday night? Is that what you're?
I thought you did,
about?
but
okay.
All right. Look, I agree. Well played. NC Nick, where are you taking us?
I guess in Patty C's defense, I've got a little bit of a drop off here. All right, how about I'll do it. I'll do the Battle of the Commonwealth, UVA at Virginia Tech. Certainly not any better than Minnesota, Wisconsin, because of how lopsided this one has been too. So maybe this is overplayed here, but I got to pick something. We all grew up in Virginia. Let's go.
Look, it goes back to 1895. You got that in your favor. The Commonwealth Cup.
Right.
But the problem is Virginia's only won twice since the turn of the century.
Right.
Yeah, it's been bad. I tell you, even when both of these teams were good, it was so new that Virginia had been good starting probably in the late 80s, early 90s under Welsh. Beamer got Virginia Tech really going in the mid 90s. I think they beat Texas in the Sugar Bowl in 95. So from like 95,
you don't think you are correct.
I am correct.
Yeah.
But 95 to 98, it still didn't register as like Virginia, I feel like was the team. And I think Virginia Tech was an afterthought for most Virginians. I could be wrong. Maybe I was young, while that was going on. Then when Vic came along, everyone said, holy shit, Virginia Tech, so, and then since then there was a little the fight there in the early 90s while Virginia was okay under Al Groh, and then Virginia Tech has been kicking their ass since. But now I think that with Virginia Tech coming down, I think Tony Elliott is getting it going a little bit, and he's not one of these fake ass like Al Groh type coaches that's never going to do anything. I think Tony Elliott has potential as a coach.
Al Groh catching strays.
No. Hey, Tony Elliott's a better coach than Al Groh.
For a long time, UVA was hiring like
what the hell is Tony Elliott proved?
Yeah, I'm about to say Al Groh proven more on the the field as a coach than Tony
at
Elliott.
The NFL level. I mean, he did a decent job and he actually recruited some decent classes, but still, he was running a like pro style shit that just you could see the ceiling. It was like 8 wins, and UVA was getting there sometimes, but they were never going to be a great program. I think Tony Elliott.
Al Groh had a 9-win season. He went to 4 straight bowls at Virginia.
Bowling.
8 wins,
George Welsh went like 55 straight bowls.
Tony Elliott would die to go bowling this year.
That's true. I just think Tony Elliott. He won a couple national championships as an offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah, he won them.
Yeah. Got to discredit that. No, I think Tony Elliott has more potential. Plus, he brought in some like actual speed last year.
Did you know that Mike Groh was Al Groh's son?
I did know that.
I didn't know that. The former UVA quarterback, Nick.
How'd you not know that, Colby?
I don't know. I guess I just never put two
Never
together.
dawned on you.
Yeah. I was too busy. I was too busy happy with that he was winning 7 games every year.
There's two truths in Virginia. Virginia Tech is going to beat UVA, and you're going to get a speeding ticket on the highway from every 5 miles where you pass a cop.
Good God, it's such a police state. It's fucking horrible. Look, you did play this incorrectly.
Yeah, you did.
You did, but it's okay. Battle of the Tiki Torch, says Clark. Look, here's where I'm going, man. This is my pick. I'm done with this. I'm done with this Commonwealth Cup bullshit.
Terrible name for a fucking rivalry too. Terrible. It's like the most generic, like little trophy.
How about the lovers' quarrel? Since Virginia's for lovers.
For lovers. That's no, not much better.
Where running waters meet. Let's go. No, you played the wrong one. NC Nick didn't want to play this one because he thought he's ducking it. He's ducking this one. But we got the Dust Bowl, the Territorial Cup, where NC Nick's worst pick of his career on a microphone. Arizona State at Arizona. This is a better rivalry than Virginia Tech. The numbers say so here. Arizona's got only a 7-game lead on ASU. They've been playing this since 1899. All right. They call it the Territorial Cup. It is a better rivalry than the Commonwealth, the Battle of the Commonwealth Cup, or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
A lot of hot chicks.
NC Nick's just shell shocked on that 70-7 game in Tucson.
I definitely just poured myself another tequila. You know, I don't want to relive that. Okay.
These games have had heaters. I remember the Chuck Cecil 99-yard interception return for a touchdown or 100, whatever the fuck it was. They play a lot of good games, man. They play a lot of close, good games. But there was a couple blowouts that happened, but recently. The 70-7 and also the 59-23 last year. But you go back the year before, Jed Fish in Arizona escaped 38-35 against an interim coach in Arizona State. I like this rivalry. I like the fact that conference realignment didn't destroy this rivalry. All right. So give me the Dust Bowl, Territorial Cup. How do you see your thoughts?
It's been probably since the 90s since Arizona was in a better place for several years as a program than Arizona State. But here we are. Now, obviously, they lost their coach. Kenny Dillingham still young at Arizona State. I think actually they may be in a pretty even spot this year. Gotta like it.
He said, David, you see what he said? Pretty even spot.
I mean, look,
a lot of people have Arizona winning the fucking Big 12.
Right.
this guy coming in. I think you know where Patty C resides with the bouncing fake tits.
Well, let me tell you
the
this.
women in Tempe.
Look, Herm
I can
Edwards.
see Patty C have a grand old time in Tempe.
I think we all would. Let's be honest. If
we
you can't have fun in Tempe,
me and NC Nick have.
You got problems.
Yeah.
Look, Todd Graham won 10 games twice there. Herm Edwards had 3 winning seasons. Herm Edwards only had 1 losing season, and even in COVID, he went 2-2.
I'm just saying.
So they had 1 losing season, and then Kenny Dillingham takes over as a first-year coach.
My point is just that Arizona State's not projected to be any good this year. Arizona's projected to potentially win the Big 12.
Okay, well, Arizona just lost their freaking coach, who is the first coach that it's had them good. Well, what? Who is in between Rich Rod and Fish?
Sumlin.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, Arizona. Yeah, you're probably right, in a slightly better spot, but I think it's a little more close than people think. That's my point.
It's a good rivalry.
Again, you have the dog on the road, which hurts it a little bit, but it certainly belongs to be played here. So well played, Colby. Right?
Yeah. David Matola is calling Antonio Pierce the greatest mole. All right, it jumps back to you, Petty. See where you go.
I'm gonna go to a game that should be a lot more competitive and relevant than it is. But I do think that Brent Key. Wait, he's still running that ship, right?
Yeah.
I get confused at what's going on over there.
This rivalry
is getting it going a little bit. 7-6 last year. This
almost got him last year.
Game was competitive last year. Yeah, Georgia Tech at Georgia in Athens is another game. Like Nick says, is the dog on the road. That doesn't help, but
they've been playing it since 1893. Old fashioned hate. I will say there was a point when George O'Leary was at Georgia Tech, and I felt like this game was very fun. But man, has there been some ass whoopings. I did interview former Bulldog Toby Johnson, and I asked him what was his most painful loss of his career, including the NFL, XFL or whatever, USFL, college and high school. And he said when Paul Johnson got him in 16, 28, 27, that was Kirby Smart's first year. So since then, it's been ass whoopings. But last year, only an 8-point game. NC Nick, your thoughts on the clean, old-fashioned hate rivalry, Georgia against Georgia Tech?
I do think Georgia Tech's a solid team that's going to win like 7 games, maybe even surprise you and like get to 8 or something. Will they be able to compete with Georgia in Athens? Probably not. But it is Friday night. You know, there's only so many games on Friday, so it's got that going for it. I'll tune in a little bit here, but it'll probably, I mean, it's going to be a double-digit win. I think Georgia Tech can keep it maybe within 20, but that's not really selling the game if you're saying it's going to be within 20.
I like the uniform matchup. I think it's a good uniform matchup.
I do like the 2 uniforms.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what is Brent Key doing to help them get better? I mean,
well, he brought in talent. Yeah. To me, I mean, bringing in Haynes King from Texas A&M at the quarterback spot. He was a lot better than Jeff Sims.
Yeah. Not saying much.
But Jeff Sims now at Arizona State, by the way.
I retract my previous statements about Arizona State.
But yeah, just like bring it in and you know, he played under George O'Leary for a while. He graduated from Georgia Tech. School pride, Patty.
Okay,
so sometimes you got to go to Old Faithful.
The same thing that Kirby Smart brings to the equation.
It's true. I do dig that. All right. It jumps over to you, NC Nick. Where you going?
Kind of tempted to stay in the ACC. I'm going to go one other one now. I'm going to go Oregon State at Boise, another Friday noon kick. So this is a third Friday noon kick that we've mentioned. Funny thing is that we have games in Boulder and in Boise, which are 10 a.m. kicks the day
fucking
after Thanksgiving. That is pretty
TV.
awful. That's fucking all about TV. Well, I still think
you should. I mean, that's funny you mentioned that because I know Boise fans have been pissed about that, the fact they can't tailgate. I've seen them complaining online saying they keep giving us these early fucking kicks. That was
Bloody Marys.
Boise complain about anything. Their schedule is super favorable. They get Wazoo and Oregon State at home.
Well, that's part of the deal.
That they get them at home?
Well, I mean, next year will be different.
Yeah, well, it just so happens that the year that Boise
but they're complaining. I'm saying this isn't just this year. Years past.
Generally speaking.
They're getting that early kick sometimes. I've heard.
Well, Mountain West got the memo. Protect your best schools. That's why they don't play Fresno. That's why they have those 2 schools at home. And to all those fine Boise State fans, and we've met a handful of them, what's wrong with the Bloody Mary morning? Come on.
That's true. Come on.
Get your game up. Well, I'll tell you what's wrong. They're Mormons. So, little detail there.
Well, Jim McMahon, if you can root for Jim McMahon, you can have a fucking Bloody Mary in the morning.
Right.
All right.
These rules are bendable on football Saturdays or Fridays in this case.
Alcohol. They can't even have a Diet Coke.
This is a good game though. Oregon State leads the all-time series 6-4. Thankfully, they played in the 80s some for the Beav fans. Patty C, your thoughts?
Sure. I mean, is Boise State a potential at large?
Hell,
maybe.
Yes. Well, at large, no.
Maybe though. If Boise somehow goes 12-1 with their only loss being to Oregon, I guess they'd be conference champs. 11-2 Boise. If they lose in the conference championship game and to Oregon early in the season, are they a potential at large?
I don't think so.
Are you saying the G5 could get 2 teams?
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They would have to beat Oregon, but at that point, they're probably in anyway. I don't know. Look, I think that this game it doesn't have any conference championship implications though, because Oregon State isn't in the Mountain West.
True.
So I don't know, but still, overall, from a win total standpoint, I just think it's going to be a competitive game, even though Oregon State lost so much.
Yeah, it'll still be a good game.
Yeah,
I think so too. Shout out to Clark, who's wondering why Idaho doesn't have great vodka with all those potatoes.
Come on.
And also, Colby, we were at that sports bar right outside the stadium. There's plenty of people drinking, so it's not all Mormons in.
That's true. Well, actually, judging by when I would ID when they would ID me when I would go in these bars, the amount of Californians that have came into Idaho, I got the sense they didn't like me much.
Yeah. My buddy who lives in Utah, there's a resort just north of Salt Lake City called Wasatch, and they call it Los Angeles, and they fucking hate everyone. All Californians are hated over
I
there.
feel like Boise wasn't as bad, but when we went to like those mountain towns, it was like, oh,
right,
you fucking piece of shit.
The funny thing is the juxtaposition between me and Colby. Colby shows his California ID. I show my North Carolina ID. I show mine. They're like, "Oh, North Carolina."
They're like buying him a beer. They're like buying him a beer. Me, they're like calling me the worst piece of shit ever.
Oh, California. Oh.
Slight cultural differences.
Are you gonna ruin tackle football here, you pussy? Right? Probably, buddy. It's coming. All right. Just not me. Look, I'm not born and raised here. Folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, the British Open is this week. And if you're not checking out the AI picks and props from Rhythm, well, you're missing out. Not just outright winners. They got picks for top 5, top 10, and top 20. Use their AI caddy to get some great data insight. You can even customize your own golf betting model using Rhythm's tools. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right. You left the old door open there,
snap. Huh? What do we got? Talk a little. I know.
Yeah. Well, it's my pick. All right. So I don't have to listen to any of your guys' bullshit anyway. I am going to take you to the likes of, I mean, it is interesting right now. Yep. I got one for you, and it's way off the reservation. All right. Big fan. We don't have an FCS game of the week, do we? Because there's only one FCS game.
Yeah, I think this officially eliminates this segment from the show.
But this game is absolute fire, and it's called the Bayou Classic between Grambling and Southern. Look, I don't like dome football. I prefer it at Yeoman or one of the other stadiums there that's outdoors. But if there were to play a dome game every year, I can get on board with this one. The Bayou Classic. There's something about, obviously they have amazing bands, Grambling, Southern, but also just the style, the uniforms, the culture. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing about college football.
I have told you this before. You don't seem to agree with me. I think of all college football bowl games, the Sugar Bowl is the best venue.
No fucking way. I'll take a blowtorch to that opinion.
What other bowl games?
Rose Bowl.
Or not bowl games. I meant domed bowl games rather.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's got the most
Sun Bowl and Rose Bowl.
No, yeah. It's it's all the dome games are the worst ones. Yes.
But out of the dome games, sure.
You'd say the Sugar Bowl.
Out of the domed bowl games on a Tuesday, it's like how many things you want to put in there?
But this game's awesome, guys. All right, and it goes back forever too. So you got to appreciate this thing. NC Nick, your opinion on look? It's Mississippi River football. All right. Southern's right outside of Baton Rouge, and Grambling is up in northern Louisiana. So it's a north versus south thing.
Well, first off, I want to say, don't forget about Turkey Day, Thursday at 2:00, where you got Tuskegee at Alabama State.
That is a rivalry too, and I do like that. But that's true. That's true.
That's a Division II versus 1AA.
Yeah, but still fun. Still fun. Tuskegee.
Technically, it's still FBS game because one of the teams is FBS.
Yeah.
But this is a fantastic game. I just wish it was at a time where it would allow me to watch more of it and focus more on it. But Saturday at 2:00 is tough.
But that's because it's their history there. They're not going to alter the history of that. That's, you know what I mean? Like it's like it is what it is.
The whole reason the movie Drumline was made is because of this football game.
No, the style here.
Put this game on Thursday. Why
I would
not?
love this. This is better than a Detroit Lions game. Guarantee you. If they put this on Thanksgiving Thursday,
hell yeah, put it on Thursday.
I would be all of fucking about this. But
I do like that the HBCUs and the Ivy League kind of operate on their own terms, even though they're in the FCS. They're like, yeah, we're gonna do it our way. I do wish though that the champion of the HBCUs would go to the FCS playoff as an auto bid.
I do too, but they're doing it for money incentives, which I understand because they've been fucked over by every other fucking that whole Tennessee State thing.
Yeah.
It's a historic rivalry though, and it needs to be played in the top 30 fucking games. Grambling and Southern.
Good play.
Let's go. All right. Patty C, you're on the clock.
All right. Did see one that I liked. Got to locate it real quick.
There's a northeast. There's a real nor'easterner out there. Let me tell you, there is a nor'easterner that is I think just
that's not,
absolute.
Oh yeah,
heat.
that is the one that I'm.
Absolute heat.
You're probably making fun of Syracuse, Miami. I'm guessing.
No.
Okay.
That's not the game I'm referring to.
I don't. Well,
he's not even talking about Pitt at BC. I think he's talking about a different one.
Well, if he's talking about the
couple independents.
Yeah,
I am hyping.
It's America, damn it! All right?
I'm not. Well, this is
couple
American.
Robert Kennedy Juniors.
Look, I'm going to Mikey Stadium, right?
I like this one
because I say that based on this schedule. We went and we looked at, and I don't know what Vegas thinks about who the favorites are for.
I can get it for you right now. Just talk about it for a second.
Pull that up. UTSA, who I believe is the number 2 team, or maybe number 2 or number 3 preseason by Athlon as far as the American Football Conference is concerned. This is the only really hard road game in conference that Army, or hard game period that Army has in conference, and UTSA has to come up to West Point to get this game. I think
UTSA's third. It goes Memphis is the odds-on favorite to win the AAC, followed by Tulane, then UTSA. The problem is
number 4?
4 is South Florida, 5 Rice, 6 ECU, 7 North Texas, 8 Army.
Ooh, the sleep on Army is real. Look, I think Army is going to be in play for the American here, maybe for a college football playoff berth. I think UTSA also is going to have had a good season. Maybe the winner of this is I think between this, Memphis and Tulane will determine one of the berths, and UTSA Army will determine the other berth.
I like this little sissy dome team down there in Texas coming up to Mikey Stadium.
Yeah,
please give me some weather.
Give me snow.
Give me some rain, some sleet, some snow. NC Nick, UTSA at Army. Your thoughts?
All decent points, decent game. Again, I wish it was in a window where I could watch more of it and focus more attention to it. I think at this point we've gone a little too hipster. We've gone too far in that direction. I think my pick is next. I'll bring you back into some Power 4 football.
I think UTSA Army is a good.
I might have missed something.
Play.
I'm scanning up and down this list real fast, but yeah, hit me, Nick. What do we got next?
Not like the Power 4 games are all that great, but the game I'm looking at here, I just did a graphic on this on Twitter. I have Miami going 8-4 this year, and one of their losses I have at Syracuse in the final week of the season. But say they're actually a little bit better than I think, and people think Miami could do some big things this year. I'm not necessarily one of them, but there's people out there that say that.
They
could lose. They could lose at Syracuse. Give a brand new head coach with a talented team and a brand new quarterback 11 or 12 or 13 weeks to kind of find themselves. Syracuse could be a much better football team in late November than they are in late August. And I think they could beat Georgia Tech. They could beat Miami at home here and maybe, spoil something special.
Oh, without doubt. Like if you're just thinking Miami, this is a for sure win for Miami. Although I know Syracuse has lost 5 straight to them. I just refused. Like you can't. You saw this with the Georgia Tech game last year, and I do think Syracuse. Fran Brown, I've never seen him coach a game in his life. I don't think he's ever been a head coach, but damn, did he bring in some talent, man? This is the most talent Syracuse has had in a very long time, in my opinion. So I do think
this is one of those games that you just like look back at and you go, dude, they were right there and they blew it. UCLA in what 98? Who'd they lose? Did they lose to Miami?
Game, but that was a reschedule. That was bullshit too.
That was bullshit. Yeah. But you look back at it and you go, man, they were just right there. I feel like that's going to happen with Miami here against Syracuse. They're going to have a great year, and if Syracuse, who very well could, does end up catching them, then boom, that could blow up Miami season right at the end there.
I'm gonna bring this back the other way, NC Nick. What if Syracuse is on the verge of an ACC championship appearance.
I'm not
willing. They have
to
to beat Miami.
I'm not willing to go that far. So now Miami could play the spoiler.
I'm just saying, only one of these has a quarterback that went 12-1 last season.
Oh
right?
man,
or 11-1.
Syracuse has the schedule. They have the schedule to do it.
All right. Alronde Gadsden Jr. is a fucking dog. All right. Correctly played this game.
LaQuint Allen, the running back, is a dog.
That's true. We're gonna hear more about him on the Best Ball Mania. Let's go. All right. How many picks do we have left, Patty C?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 each.
Well,
or 2 each. Sorry,
2 each.
Yeah.
That math doesn't add up.
Yeah, about 5 beers here. Go ahead.
$100 million $1 million. I will go with the likes of. I'm going obscure again. He's gonna hate me, but this is an old school rivalry. They call us the Battle of the I-10, and it's a conference game. UTEP traveling to Aggie Memorial Stadium to take on New Mexico State. This is an old school ass rivalry. They've been playing for over 100 years. They play for the Silver Spade Trophy. All right. Now I wish it was at the Sun Bowl because that's better, but this stadium is also really cool. New Mexico State, Diego Pissing Pavia made a statement last year. I won money on this game when they won 28-7 in El Paso. New Mexico State. Now they're the ones with the new coach. Well, actually, both teams have a new coach, but Scotty Walden's bringing in his whole damn team from Austin Peay. UTEP, New Mexico State. Do you have a problem with this, Patty C?
I don't have a problem with the game. I just don't know what to expect from UTEP.
Who's winning the Silver Spade Trophy?
I guess New Mexico State, just based on last year, but I don't expect either of these teams to be very good. It's just the fact that it's a rivalry game.
It is.
That makes it special.
Yeah.
And you like
Look,
Southwest
let's
football.
be real here. I'm all on board for some CUSA action on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm not on board for this game on a Saturday on rivalry weekend.
But for rivalry weekend, there's only a few rivalries left on this slate. This is one of them.
We're overlooking a really obvious one that when I say it and we compare it to UTEP, New Mexico State, you're gonna fucking shit yourself.
A rivalry?
It's technically a rivalry, I guess, of recent creation, and we're talking about on Friday night. Should I just go to it?
Sure, you're the next pick. Go.
All right, Nebraska at Iowa.
Don't give me this shit. This fake rivalry they keep trying to shove down our throats.
We're talking about Colby. Hear Patty out here. What if this is the same game as Minnesota at Iowa last year?
That is true. Look, it will be a good game. They're always good games because that's why I disagree with Nick's take that you fall asleep for the big. Like every Iowa game is a great game because
they're close games, not necessarily great games. There's a difference.
If it's 13-3, that is a blowout.
and they did play in 1891, so I mean the history is there a little bit more. It just got reborn as a rivalry. So, but how about this though, Patty C? Iowa has won what 10 of 11.
Yikes! 2022 is the only time Nebraska got a win since since 2014.
Yeah. So what? 10 of 12, I guess.
Wow. 30-21.
They've been close though. They've all been close.
Let me tell you what. How fortunate was Iowa to essentially miss Nebraska's entire golden age? They only played each other
I know.
6 times, and Nebraska obviously went 5-1 during that stretch. But what is that? 1981. Hayden Fry got him 10-7.
There we go. There we go.
This is these two teams.
This is fun. This is fun.
As far as
the Heroes game, what a terrible name though.
Terrible name for it. But as far as rivalries being created by realignment, there are worse than this. This is a decent one that could develop into something special if Nebraska gets good.
NC Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's a solid game, and it will be kind of fun to watch Friday night. So it's solid.
You know what? You know why I can never draft this one is because Colorado should be playing Nebraska this day.
Yeah, personal reasons.
Yeah. So anyway, look, it's fair. That's a good pick. NC Nick, where you going?
I know I mentioned these two games earlier, and I was kind of shitting on them. I shouldn't have been, because I mentioned that we're all going to be watching the Egg Bowl at 3:30 on Friday. But the two G5 games, also at 3:30 Eastern time on Friday, could be very meaningful. So the one I will take you to first, I got to go with the Sun Belt one. Texas State at South Alabama. Tell me that Texas State, who might just be the favorite in the Sun Belt West now, South Alabama, yeah, maybe they lost their coach. That's still a tough place to play. I mean, they whipped Oklahoma State last year. Texas State could have a lot on the line coming into Mobile, Alabama on the day after Thanksgiving.
That's fair. I just don't know what to expect of South Alabama.
Someone's got to win the Sun Belt West, though. Do we know what the expectations are?
Texas State.
Texas State's the favorite.
Yeah, I think they're the favorite to win the West.
Wow. I mean, that's an absolute crapshoot then.
Yeah.
Because Texas State was decent last year, but not great.
They put like 50 on Baylor.
Yeah. I mean, they were a good team.
But 2 years ago they were like below 500.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows you how quickly DJ Kinney turned it around.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find division winner
South
odds
Alabama,
for the Sun Belt. So
Womack's
Texas
gone.
State's your odds-on favorite. Second would be Louisiana at plus 280. So Texas State's plus 250, Louisiana plus 280, South Alabama plus 425, Troy plus 475, Arkansas State plus 600, Southern Miss plus 1600, ULM plus 20,000.
So Texas State and Louisiana are number 1 and 2. I'm curious where they finished in the standings last year within the Sun Belt West. I'm gonna double check that real quick. Louisiana, I guess, I'm looking at. God damn it! ESPN changed their order here.
It was 2 and 3. It was 2 and 3.
They were 2 and 3. Okay, so that's not that outrageous.
Right behind Troy.
I do think Texas State. When we're talking, it's funny. I was asking you this exercise the other day, Petty C. Top 10 teams, like who would the group of 5 that will be battling for that position, and I think you were thinking Boise and Memphis, which is all accurate, and Fresno. But I do think Texas State's a team that no one's seeing that I think could.
Well, they're very much like UTSA from a couple years ago.
They have a great schedule too.
Do they?
Yeah.
I like it. or Texas State's a fun program.
Yeah, I dig their style too. Well played. Maybe some better ones out there, but well played, Mr. Sunbelt guy over there. All right, next up. It goes back to me. Is this my final pick?
It's your last pick.
Damn it. Too many good games left.
There is much more depth this week for sure.
It should be on rivalry
there's
weekend.
A game on at Wrigley. I love a game at Wrigley.
I think you have to play the game you talked about Tedford about.
Yeah, could they make it 6 in a row against UCLA?
There is a border battle among SEC teams out there.
There's a Nor'easterner that I've been raving about. There's the Battle of the Fremont Cannon, which I love, but it's at that filthy dome, which does hurt it. So I'm taking you to Pullman, where the Wyoming Cowboys. No one's talking about these Wyoming Cowboys, but I'll tell you, with the news of Jeff Tedford, which sucks because I want Fresno. I love Fresno, but I think no one is talking about Wyoming. I think Wyoming could have a resume by the end of the season with wins over Arizona State and BYU, 2 P4s. And also a win at home against Boise, which would then solidify the Mountain West Championship game would be played in Laramie in the first week of December. They got in that trip right here because this could be a golden moment. This would be the one they probably do lose. Wyoming at Washington State. NC Nick, your thoughts?
It is a little bit more interesting because if I think we all have Boise and Fresno as the 2 favorites, but if Fresno takes a bigger than expected dip without Tedford, and the fact that Wyoming gets Boise at home,
oh yeah,
now you're starting to convince me that maybe something special could be happening. Do I think Wyoming's gonna go to the playoff? No, I think Wyoming's probably gonna be like 8-4 or something. Because look, they have a brand new head coach also, even though he's been in the program for a while. I know.
If anything, he utilized the portal a little bit more too.
Yeah, but still, it's Wyoming football. They, it's like Iowa light.
They're going to the playoffs, buddy. All right, they're winning the Mountain West.
I hope you're right.
They're going to the fucking playoffs.
They very well could.
Yeah.
I mean, road trip at Arizona State, winnable to start the season. Home against BYU, winnable. Air Force, we said, is probably down.
Air Force never wins in Laramie.
Okay. Yeah. San Diego State, they get it home. And then Boise, they get it home. They don't. I mean, this game really, I guess, has a. If say they're 10-1 at this point in the season, and then it's between them and another team for the group of 5 spot in the playoff, then yeah, this game could have some meaning.
But they have 2 P5s, and then they would play the next week in the Mountain West Championship. God damn it, Wyoming's going to the playoffs.
I don't know about that. Their last 3 games are at Colorado State, Boise, and at Wazoo. They could lose all 3 of them.
Yeah, I just feel like they're going to lose some. That's been their MO.
But they can lose the Washington State game and still go to the Mountain West Championship, win the Mountain West, and have 2 P5 wins, which would overrank Liberty.
I think Colby wants something to happen.
I do. Let's go Pokes. All right, Patty C, it goes to you.
All right, my last pick here. There's a rivalry that has produced a couple upsets down in Tennessee. Not going to take that one though, but want to mention it. I am going to go to the great state of Missouri, Farrett Field, where Arkansas travels to play against the Tigers of Missouri.
Barry Odom Bowl.
Barry Odom Bowl. Do we think that Arkansas could play spoiler here on a fringe playoff berth for Missouri?
Oh, I can see it. Bobby Petrino's the interim. Comes in. He's familiar with Missouri. He was at Missouri State. You know, the battle. They call this rivalry the battle line rivalry. They've only played 15 fucking times though. Stop it.
That's sad.
They're trying to force this rivalry on us. It bothers me.
You got to start it somewhere.
Yeah. Sure, it deserves to be drafted, I guess. NC Nick, your thoughts on the quote unquote battle line rivalry?
Same thoughts as you. It's a decent game. Could there be an upset? Sure. I don't view it as a rivalry. Won't catch a whole lot unless it's close, going into the second half or something. But solid game.
All right.
Last pick.
You gotta go to Waco, right?
You gotta go to what?
Waco?
Waco's a good one. I mean, there's a lot of good games.
Fuck Waco. I'm going right
West
back.
Virginia, Texas Tech, right?
I'm going right back Friday afternoon. G5. Right. Liberty at Sam Houston.
That is dangerous. Sam Houston should have beat him last year.
Sam Houston went 3-9, and they lost at Liberty on like a goal line stand or something.
Yeah,
Liberty could be walking into this game with a very gaudy record, already planning their trip to the CUSA championship game and potential, college football playoff, and they could lose to the Sam Houston Bearcats.
Oh yeah, you don't just.
I almost foresee this loss happening.
I do too, actually. I think you're right. And I like this game being played here. I like the creativity on this. You don't walk into the Bear Claw as a top 15 team and expect you to walk away with the dub. Patty C, your thoughts?
I will say this. They started 0-8 and then
look at that. Look at
those
losses.
Managed to win 3 of their last 4. But
Rich Rod got very lucky against them. Liberty got very lucky against them.
FIU took 2 overtimes to get by them. Yeah, it's true. I mean, most of their losses were by single digits. They did manage to turn the corner and start turning those into wins by the end of the season. If they are improved and on track this year, then yeah, maybe this game is a little tougher for. I mean, shit, it was plenty tough for Liberty last year, like you guys just said. What was the final score of that game?
21-16 or something.
And Liberty was Sam Houston had the ball inside the 5-yard line, a first down.
Wow.
And they couldn't get in. Great game. All right, folks, that's our show, but we still have the Lou Holtz What the Fuck game of the week, and we're not going to stop playing it now. So I will take you to who I take every single time. The Lou Holtz, and in case you're a new listener, the Lou Holtz What the Fuck game of the week is the game that just makes no sense on the schedule and why it should never be played and why it sucks really for the sport. And I will take you.
Well, I don't get rain man cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
They need to just set up shop in Philadelphia, all right? Because North Texas, all right. And I get it. It's an NFC East battle, Cowboys, Eagles, but North Texas at the Link taking on Temple. Fuck out of here. This game's fucking horrible.
Tom Landry versus Buddy Ryan.
There you go.
Your thoughts on this game, NC Nick?
It's pretty bad, man. Hold on. Is this the JFK Bowl? No, I guess.
This could be
not really. No.
Yeah.
I guess it's just I don't know. The game sucks.
Yeah.
Temple. When you can't even spin a bullshit angle on this,
that's what it is. It's the Tom Landry buddy Ryan Bowl.
There you go.
Patty C, where are you taking us for our what the fuck game of the week?
There are some rivalry games we left off the
That's
slate,
what I'm saying. Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan's fun. I mean, Kansas Baylor has potential. If we look back on this, that might be the biggest misdraft.
Illinois Northwestern could be two
at
bowl
Wrigley
teams.
too. I dig that at Wrigley.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to go to a game that is in conference. It isn't any scheduling thing that they did. It's just a shitty ass game that no one wants to watch. We're going Kent State at Buffalo.
Completely agree. The MAC did a fucking disservice here. Why they have Tuesday night to itself and they give us Kent State of Buffalo? What the fuck?
Yeah. Look, they got to start somewhere. All right, you got the Golden Flashes going in.
I guess Toledo at Akron might even be worse.
No, because there's history there at least.
Yeah, history of Toledo whooping their ass.
No, but at least they've been playing for a long fucking time.
Yeah, I guess Buffalo hasn't been.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. NC Nick, where's your Lou Holtz? What the fuck game of the week?
Patty C took the words or the game out of my mouth here. So one of the things I like to hate on is Northeast football.
No,
don't
UConn
do this. At UMass is complete trash. If these two teams aren't playing on the hardwood, I don't give a shit about UConn at UMass playing football. And nobody else does.
This is ridiculous. This game is great for the sport. It's bringing the Northeast back. I cannot believe I almost drafted this game.
It'll be great for the 3,000 people in attendance. Okay.
Well, you forgot UMass joined the
probably
SEC.
Being generous too.
UMass joined the SEC. They played three SEC games this year to start to ease them in, and then UConn's got a bowl team this year. You heard it first.
Boom.
Right?
Well, I'll tell you what. The biggest development for UMass football hasn't even come to UMass yet, and that's that Steve Belichick joined the college football ranks.
That's true. He's defensive coordinator at Washington. He's won.
He had to go where the meth is, so he went out to Seattle.
Don Brown's getting old. Don Brown's going to build up this UMass thing and then give the keys to Steve Belichick. You called for Bill O'Brien. You know Massachusetts football and what's happening there. All right. You called for Bob Chesney to JMU.
UMass
Let's go.
Getting Steve Belichick. Write it.
Write it, folks. Also, write it on over to us. All right, get on over to YouTube. Subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe button. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Patty C's on Twitter at Patty C831. I'm on Twitter at The Colby D. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. I can't wait for the season. This week got me hyped. Let's go. Sports Gambling Podcast coming up next. Check them. Check out the Stadium Heads podcast. Also talking the history of college football stadiums and why college football is the greatest shit ever on planet Earth. Check out that. And check out the FCS College Football Experience, the College Basketball Experience. Moneyline Mac doing all these coaching interviews. He's in the trenches. He's doing the layup line right now. You know what I mean? It's called that's what you gotta do. It's July. You're talking college basketball. Just hitting that layup line.
Right.
Also check out
when you come into the fall. Great is you put in the work over the summer.
That's what I'm saying. Check out College Basketball Experience, College Baseball Experience as well. Noah Beanick doing great work. Check out the Bottom Line Bob's podcast as well. Like I said, the Sports Gambling Podcast, Mountain West talk coming up next. So buckle up, hop on over there. I'm going to jump on that episode as well. Until next time, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot.